Yeah. Well, 20.
19 to 20, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's some wild
And
stuff
he was
there.
69.
69! You think he used that as his line? Ooh, how old are you, big boy? 69!
Oh, my God, I hope not.
Maggie
Yeah.
Perloff
Holy God.
On the
How about this,
Infinity
Jerry? The
Sports
Detroit
Network.
Tigers. No pregame or postgame for West
at the
Coast.
middle
That
of
makes
the
sense to me,
NFL
actually.
universe. Welcome to the
Well,
show,
when you're on
Maggie
the East,
Gray,
how many
Andrew
people do you think are
Perloff.
actually
I love
watching
everything
this
about
stuff?
this
How many
story.
By the way,
people
did you
are
see the
watching?
number of the Met
Matthew
preseason
Stafford,
game on
Pearl,
SNY the other day?
finding
I did see
himself
Mr.
in
Tommy
Montana,
Lugauer put that out.
Of all
Big
places,
number.
'Cause I
where
guess
Tom
it
Brady
almost-
just so happens to famously have a
WFAN
home.
FM, WFAN
Was it a chance
FM
encounter? Was it
HD1
not a
New
chance
York.
encounter?
Odyssey
But
Sports
either way, the
Station.
two had a conversation, and we know from reports that the Raiders and also the New York Giants, but let's pause on the Raiders for a second, maybe in full pursuit of Matthew Stafford.
Wait, I didn't know Tom Brady had a home in Montana. That was a big deal.
This is very well known. I'll tell you why. Because after Tom Brady won his last Super Bowl with the Patriots,
right.
our pal Peter King, you may remember him, Monday morning quarterback, went to Montana and did his entire column from Brady's home.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was like wildly well known.
Well, you and I know it. People in the
I
NFL,
I
Matthew
didn't know it. I totally
Stafford
forgot
knows
about
it.
it. I
You should have
100%.
known it.
But you know who else has a house in Montana? Every single celebrity you can think of has a house in Montana. It's the number one celebrity place. Like all of them there. Tom Cruise on down. Everyone's in Montana.
Wait, you think this was a coincidence?
I'm positive.
Oh,
I'm
you're
sure
crazy.
I'm sure
Oh my
that
gosh, you're crazy.
I'm sure that Tom Brady has a house. I'm sure. So why wouldn't Matthew Stafford be in Montana? Like, why would that be surprising? If Brady wasn't there and you saw a picture of Matthew Stafford near Bozeman, would you be surprised? No, of course not.
Okay, but here's the thing. Your team just gave you permission to seek a trade, okay?
Yeah.
So you're out there. We know because of other reports, Diana Rossini and other insiders, the Raiders and the Giants are interested in Matthew Stafford. This stuff is out there, okay? So now you just so happen to find yourself in the same place as Tom Brady. Like, I just think that, his agent had to downplay it. Stafford's agent had to downplay it because you don't want it to look like tampering. We don't know exactly how much permission the Rams gave. Was it, hey, your agent can go seek a trade, not you can go meet with the minority owner who's basically calling the shots for the franchise. So I get why people walked it back, but I do not believe for 1 second this was a coincidence.
Well, if you saw a headline that Matthew Stafford was skiing in Montana, would you blink twice at that? Of course he would be.
Okay, but first of all, Matthew Stafford is on the verge of maybe another massive payday. There's no chance he's on a pair of skis. And
Don't get out of here. First of all, Matthew Stafford does not run the show in that family for 1 second.
Okay, so I made a sacrifice for our show today.
Okay.
One that I did so that you guys don't have to. And I personally went back through Kelly Stafford's entire Instagram history. Yeah. Not all heroes wear capes.
Why would you torture yourself like that?
Well, I wanted to see if they'd ever been to Montana before skiing. So it turns out the daughters are really good on the slopes. Kelly's a good skier. Matthew doesn't ski. He can't ski, Perloff. Did Andrew Luck teach you nothing? You can't be an NFL quarterback currently and be looking for a new deal and get on the slopes. You're asking for trouble. But they do ski. Now, the last post where they're skiing, they don't say where they are. But every other post is not Montana. Not Montana. They go to Utah. They go to California. I swear I went back through the whole history. I've watched more Instagram of her young daughter skiing than I've watched of my own kid doing anything.
How many posts?
A lot of posts. She's very
What's her
active on that
Instagram?
platform.
I need to find the number.
She is very active on that platform. But anyway, that's how I spent my last night. And anyway, so I think what it comes down to, whether you believe it was coincidental or you don't, which I'd love to hear at 855-212-4227. The question is
3,225 posts?
Manny, I'm telling you, I made the sacrifice for everybody. I know a lot more about Kelly Stafford than I did before. And I don't know if that's a great thing.
This is why you don't need detectives. All women are amazing at finding people online and finding what they've done. So if you're ever on a blind date, don't worry. The girl knows everything about you.
Yeah.
They figured it out.
First and last name is enough. I don't even need anything else.
Exactly.
But the question is this a smart idea? So, Pearl, will you follow me down this path? Let's say Brady and Stafford did have a conversation. Let's say the Raiders are interested. Yeah. Is this a smart move from Las Vegas's point of view?
Oh, of course not. Does anybody think it's a smart move? Like, what? Who's the quarterback in 2 years if you sign Matthew Stafford?
That's a 2 years from now problem.
What happens in those 2 years? What's the best case scenario? You're 9-8, and What's I don't understand. Like, what's the goal?
Well, the goal is a couple things. And this is why, you think it's silly. I can see it. First of all, the Raiders are desperate, all right? They have Tom Brady. They just hired a 73-year-old Pete Carroll. And I think the most important thing is to get back to respectability. And you're too far down potentially to get a quarterback because you're drafting, what are they, 6 or 7? 6. They're drafting 6th. So you're leaving a lot to chance if you want Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward.
Right.
So you can either mortgage all of your assets and try to get up in the draft, which might not even be a possibility, guys. Like, it's possible Cam Ward and Shedeur go 1-2 or 1-3 or something like that, and it's not feasible. So you're telling me that a 2-year bridge with Matthew Stafford to make the playoffs, I think would probably be the goal, to get back to respectability. I'm telling you, the Raiders could do a lot worse because Sam Darnold's going to be a longer deal that's going to be, not nothing. And he's not nearly the quarterback that Matthew Stafford is. So do I want a top 5, maybe top 7 quarterback, or do I want a top 15, 17 quarterback? I get this sort of quick fix. I don't think they're thinking Super Bowl. I think they're thinking playoffs. And for the Raiders, that's a great thing.
Well, when would they be thinking Super Bowl then? Like, what's the plan here? Because Stafford will presumably be done in 2 years.
Right.
It'll be probably like a 2-year deal.
But think about it. Think how much you can change the image of your franchise in 2 seasons. Like, think of how much you can do to lift a franchise in 2 seasons. And by the way, it gives you 2 years to maybe figure out what is your next move. And it does buy you a little bit of time and a little bit of breathing room and maybe a little bit of respect. I don't know if Tom Brady, if he could just wave a magic wand, I think he would probably go with a young quarterback. But that's not where they are right now. Like, you got to play the hand that you're being dealt. And I don't think they're going to be able to get Shedeur unless they do some major maneuvering and it gets really messy. And they're not going to get Cam Ward. So you're going to force a Jackson Dart or you're going to force something else. That's not smart either. So I think Brady and company are just sort of trying to make the best of what is not a perfect hand.
Maybe so, but you're going to have to give up. I think the way the Stafford thing is evolving, like, you're going to have to give up first-round pick now because the Giants seem really hot on Stafford.
Well,
really hot.
But that will be the Raiders then to decide, is that too rich for my blood and I'm going to have to go another way. But I understand why they're pursuing him. I just don't.
I mean, first of all, say they sign Matthew Stafford. There's so many things that are going on here. He's 37. The Rams, obviously, why are the Rams sour on Matthew Stafford? You got to ask yourself that.
They just don't want to pay him.
There could be some physical stuff there. They don't want to pay him because they don't think that he's leading them anywhere before he retires. And that's a good team, like a great team. The Raiders have nobody on their team. So they're starting with ground zero and a quarterback in the hardest division in football. I just don't understand, like, what the thinking would be. Like, if everything goes right with Matthew Stafford, they're 9-8 next year. And then maybe the next year they improve, they're 10-7. And then can never draft a quarterback. Like, you're going to go back to the Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew style of QB. I have no idea, like, what the plan is.
Okay.
I don't understand, like,
yes.
And also Chip Kelly's your offensive coordinator. I know he's going to try and draft Will Howard out of Ohio State and hope that maybe a late-round guy becomes the guy, like a Dak Prescott or Tom Brady himself. I just think that in this division, that is really a hope and a prayer.
Well, listen, I actually kind of like that. You sign a Stafford for 2 years, and then if you do feel like a Will Howard or someone you want to, Pete Carroll found Russell Wilson. If you feel like that guy could be out there in the 3rd or 4th round, well, now you actually give him some time to develop and you gave him a mentor. This is stuff we usually praise teams for doing.
This is Aiden O'Connell 2.0.
Well, you're not sure, right? Because you have to think that they believe they would have more talent, like a Will Howard or something like that. But here's the thing, Perloff. I know, like, not every team, it's great. Like, your team just won the Super Bowl. My team is in the AFC Championship game, can't get over the hump. There are some teams where the Super Bowl is the thing. The Raiders won 4 games last year. The Super Bowl's not the thing right now, and that's fine. But the playoffs could be within striking distance.
Well, look at their records the last 5 years. Okay, and actually go 6. 2019, 7-9, 8-8, 10-7, 6-11, 8-9, and then last year 4-13.
Yeah,
they're living in the 8-win territory. Like, is that like they got to get out of there?
And what's the fastest way to do that?
Draft a quarterback. Like, they need a 10-year. Okay. No, but Stafford's not getting them out of there. They're right back in the 8 to 10 win range.
Listen,
right.
This is the thing. Yeah. I can't. like you're talking in a way that is not and you're not doing it this way, but like this idea, just draft a quarterback. That's not productive for the Raiders right now because they're too far away potentially to get the quarterback they want.
Yeah,
so
but
you got to live in reality here. What's the next best thing if you can't get the young guy under the cost control? Well, how about Matthew Stafford?
How about, but you're going to have to give up. I really think that unless I'm totally misreading it, like the Rams, I don't think they want to do this for a second. I think they want a first-round pick, and that's a valuable first-round pick. Because we say 8, 9, 10 wins. Eeks.
No, you can't give up the 6th overall pick for Matthew Stafford.
No, what about, but I'm saying like next year's.
I think that they can do this with a second-round pick. I do. I think that a second-round pick will get it done, and I think that the Raiders would really have to think about it because, you're asking like, yeah, of course, the Raiders need all types of help. Like, they could use help at literally every position on the football field. But would you sacrifice one of those draft picks in order to get a quarterback that you think is a rising tide? You play inside. You have a good, competent coach. You've got Brady in your corner. I could see the attractiveness.
Yeah, you have probably the worst set of skill position players in the league right now. I know you have some free agency money, but that is not how you want to build a team. With free agency guys are by nature overpriced. It's a bad spot. Like, honestly, I do believe the only way to have sustained success in the NFL is have a 10-year plan at quarterback, not a 1.5-year plan.
So who do you want to play quarterback for the Raiders next year?
Honestly, okay. Well, I was just focused on Stafford. I would, if I'm going to sign a free agent, I would go with Sam Darnold over him. At least you have a 4-year plan.
So here's the thing about Darnold, though. We're not sure if Sam Darnold might cost you some draft compensation because if the Minnesota Vikings decide to franchise tag and trade him, then you're going to have to also give up something for Darnold.
Left third, right?
I don't know.
Fourth.
But you can negotiate that. But then you also have to pay Darnold. So it's not like you're giving up no, draft compensation there and also have to pay him. Like, if you're asking me if I got to give something up and I've got to pay a guy, give me the shorter term You love short contracts. You always say that's the key to the NFL. Short contract, money's going to be high, but you have the money and you're going to give up something either way.
Well, if you're going short term, why don't you just go Cousins for a 6th-round pick or Rodgers for free or why don't you just get somebody who doesn't cost you anything?
Because I can find some major flaws with both of those guys that I'm not working with Matthew Stafford. Like, I'm not just giving anybody the starting job because clearly the Raiders don't want to throw this year away. But at least that's the way they're trending.
But also, if you bring Matthew Stafford, he wants over $50 million.
Sure.
Like, there goes all your free agency money. Like, what team do you have around him?
Well, this is all about.
And how do you get to? Actually, I was saying 9 wins. How do you get to 9 wins with that team?
Dude, it's a 4-win team. Like, they are one of the dregs of the league right now, right?
But they're generally, again, they've been floating around 8, 9, 10 wins before that. Like with Derek Carr, like they were definitely like a borderline playoff team for a long time. Like they're just going to be stuck in this like 8, 9, 10 win. I don't even think they get to 9 wins. Like. They had the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Chargers to deal with, Maggie. How are they getting the playoffs?
Here's the thing. I'd rather go into that fight with Matthew Stafford than with Sam Darnold. You're talking about the lack of skill position players. Well, Darnold just had his best season by far as a pro. What else was interesting about last season? Did he have 2 top wide receivers? Literally the best wide receiver in the league on one side, and then the young up-and-coming star wide receiver on the other, and TJ Hawkinson, and this offensive guru. Like, you think you're going to replicate that again with Sam Darnold? You're out of your mind. I'm fading Sam Darnold as hard as humanly possible. And I'd much, much rather have the Stafford quick fix. At least I know he could elevate, a lacking skill position group, right? Like Stafford's going to make you better. Sam Darnold's not.
Well, first of all, I think next year, by the way, Darnold might not be much worse than Stafford. Stafford has got a lot of physical issues, and he's older. And with that team and that line, that'd be very dicey. I almost would prefer Darnold in that particular situation. I think Stafford will be a sitting duck, and I don't think.
What do you think Darnold is?
Darnold can move.
Watch the last 2 games of the season when there was pressure in his face. What happened? He crumbled.
Yeah, but
he can't handle it. At least Matthew Stafford, from the neck up, I think is a much, much smarter, more experienced quarterback than Darnold. That's why I would go with him.
How have the last 3 major trades with 34-plus-year-old quarterbacks gone?
Well, 2 of them won Super Bowls right away. Tom Brady and Stafford.
Well, Russ and Aaron Rodgers were
but you got half and half.
Disaster.
You gave me 2 bad ones. I gave you 2 great ones.
Stafford was 31 or 32. What?
No, that can't be because he's 37. It happened 4 years ago. He's 33.
Okay, but Rodgers, this is Rodgers. This is Russ Wilson and Rodgers all over again. like trying
So
because
you don't think Stafford has anything left in the tank then?
No. I think Stafford is good. I think the team around him is terrible right now. Obviously, they're a 4-win team.
Yeah.
I think Russ came into a terrible situation in Denver because Nate Hackett was the coach. I think Rodgers came to an awful situation in New York because it's the Jets.
Right.
So I think Stafford's going to a bad team. So it'll look much closer to Rodgers and Wilson than Stafford when he was younger and went to the Rams with Sean McVay and really, really young talent everywhere. The Raiders they need a full rebuild. So why would you bring in $50 million 37-year-old quarterback on a team that needs a full rebuild? The timeline doesn't make any sense to me at all.
855-212-4227. Okay, so do you like Stafford to the Raiders? Do you think it was a coincidence that he just so happened to run into Tom Brady in Montana? I feel kind of dumb now thinking it was a coincidence that Stafford ran into Sean McVay in Cabo. Remember that story from all those years ago? Like, total coincidence. We started shooting the breeze, and then we ended up with I'm like, I'm such a dummy. That wasn't a coincidence either.
I think the Brian Flores lawsuit told us that there are no coincidences with Tom Brady in random meetings and random places.
The Miami Dolphins got docked a first-round pick for tampering with Tom Brady. No wonder the agents are all trying to downplay this.
There you go.
Yeah, I think this is a funny one. And if you're a Raider fan out there, do you want them to go for Stafford and maybe a quicker fix, or would you rather, I don't know what door number 2 is for the Raiders. You're talking about Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. That's what you're getting.
Just go. I would actually bring it like a 1-year nothing, like a Kirk Cousins. Honestly, I would process this bad boy because you have no talent right now. You have Max Crosby, by the way, getting a little older too.
Well, they said they're going to re-sign him this week.
You really don't have a lot of talent there, so it's a tough spot for Stafford. I would also go to the NFL and say, can you get me in a new division? It's going to be a real tough spot.
Lobby the competition committee for that?
Real tough spot. I think the Giants giving up a first-round pick for Stafford would be the ultimate disaster. The Raiders are right behind them because I think you put yourself back like 5 to 10 years.
855-212-4227. All right, Raider fans, this has got to get you a little excited. No? Secret meetings, Montana, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford. It's pretty cool. If you're the Giants, you got to be like, oh, man.
Oh God, the Giants seem like they're going to spend like crazy for Stafford.
I know, but if you're also trying to pursue Stafford, then you see the story that he's with Tom Brady in Montana, you're like, darn it.
Really, I feel like the Giants are strong front runners on this one. Yeah,
well, I mean, who's more desperate?
Well,
one's a 3-win team, one's a 4-win team.
Me,
I'd say both.
Who's dumber is what I think, and it's proven.
We know the Giants are dumb.
It's proven, yeah. Like
we're not sure yet about this Raiders.
Who's going to overspend like crazy to make up for last year's disastrous offseason decision? That team is in New Jersey for sure. I feel like this has Giants written all over it.
855-212-4227. Want to go play outside on that turf? Good luck.
In the swamp.
You can watch the show, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. And we say good morning to our Infinity Sports Network affiliates. It's all about you all the time. 855-212-4227. This combine all of a sudden got very spicy. Not just the Stafford stuff. It turns out we may have almost had 2 people come to fisticuffs. Nearly came to blows in a Starbucks of all places. Got the juicy details on that. And let us know, Raider fans, do you want Matthew Stafford? 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie Perloff Show. So let's play out this Matthew Stafford thing. The Giants met with him last night. Tom Brady is meeting with him on the ski slope. So they're driving up the price. The Rams look like they're clearly not paying for him, and the Rams are losing all their O-linemen. So look at what's happening in the NFC West. The Rams look like they're in full rebuild mode. The Cardinals are never going to win anything. The Seahawks are never going to win anything. This means, woof, all of a sudden, like the Red Sea, the division opens right back up for the Niners. You could probably win this at 9-8. So I feel like the Niners are negotiating with Brock Purdy right now. They probably feel pretty good about what's happening because L.A. was a problem for them, and now it won't be because it doesn't feel like I saw L.A. let their offensive lineman, they're one of their best offensive linemen, see the trade market.
Yeah,
so
I saw that.
They're looking at what, like a 5-12 with Jimmy G's season or something. So, man, this is great for San Francisco. I think they have to love all this news.
Well, hold on, though. First of all, it's McVay, who always kind of gets the most out of whatever roster he has. And what about the thought that Aaron Rodgers slides in if Matthew Stafford leaves Do you think that a McVay-Aaron Rodgers pairing, you can't totally dismiss that?
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about the Rodgers coming in. I heard an insider say that they loved. Oh, Diana Rossini said they love Jimmy G. So you could bring in Aaron Rodgers. That's a little bit of a problem, but he's going to turn 42 this season. I still feel really good if I'm the Niners. So the Niners go in this offseason in a similar spot with LA. They have to pay their quarterback. I think they're like, well, we got to win now. We're just going to do this deal with Brock and do what they can to keep the old guys. I just think all of a sudden this division is getting kind of bad. And I feel like San Francisco, much like the last time, remember they lost the Super Bowl and they had an injury-prone season, just like last year. Then they came back. I think they were 10-7, snuck in the playoffs, were super tough, and then rebuild everything. I just think this is all working out great for the Niners.
Yeah, but, first let's get the deal done with Purdy, right? And I know that everyone's talking like really kumbaya about this, and maybe it gets done this week. Who knows? But the trend for the 49ers has actually been to drag this stuff pretty deep, into the offseason, and it got contentious with Brandon Ayuk. It went way too long with Nick Bosa. I mean, why that went almost into the season feels a little silly. And other guys. So yeah, but I think Purdy's going to get done right away, but... Well,
Purdy's under contract anyway. What impact would that have in next year?
Well, I mean, because everyone's talking about getting a deal done.
Right. But I'm in my scenario here where Stafford leaves the Rams, it's still the Niners by a mile in that division because Purdy's coming back one way or the other. He's not going to hold out. So
no, I don't think so. But you don't want this to get too contentious because look what happened last year. You had an offseason that was overshadowed by some very serious things like Ricky Pearsall getting shot and thankfully surviving, but also just the bad vibes of the contract stuff. And I don't think the Niners, they called this season was just, what did Fred Warner? He said it was just bad from the beginning. I think that you don't want another season of that. Everyone knows Purdy's getting paid. It's just going to be how much.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about Purdy. I think that they commented on it yesterday and said, we'll see, no guarantees. But I feel like they're definitely going to do a $50 million deal. And Purdy's not going to be like one of the wide receivers. Like, he's not going to hold out. And maybe I'm reading too much into what I see. Like, Brock Purdy seems like that is not the image he wants to put out there. Like the receivers, Deebo always complains about everything. Yeah. Ayuk was a mess last year. He's like, he took the same offer 3 weeks later and missed camp and then got hurt immediately. Brock Purdy's a quarterback. Like, he has to show up at training camp, right?
He does, but I think the biggest thing with the 49ers and Brock, in my opinion, is who, should be thanking who. And I think that's where, the rubber meets the road here. Is this where Brock says, listen, I'll take a little less because thank you so much for drafting me with the last pick of the draft, and look at what you did, and you're the reason why I'm here, and I'm even lined up for this contract? Or should John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan be saying to Brock, thank you for saving our behinds when we made the horrible deal to trade up for Trey Lance, who ended up busting immediately, basically, as an NFL quarterback. And Brock came in and saved us. Should they be thanking Brock and saying, listen, we'll give you more than Tua. We'll give you the sun, the moon, and the stars. I don't know if there's a tension there about who actually should be thanking who for this opportunity.
That sounds crazy to me. They're not going to make a decision based on what happened in the past. They're just looking at the market, I would assume. I think the real question is, would Brock Purdy demand $53 million on the open market?
I mean, where we have a T-shirt that says Brock Purdy for MVP.
I mean, personally, I
was persecuted by the Purdy people for saying that he was a system quarterback and that Christian McCaffrey was the real star of the offense. So I need that same energy from all the Brock Purdy for MVPs, because if you're in the MVP race, then yes, you're getting $53 million. Yeah, 55. Hell, what am I talking about?
55.
60.
I don't think he would get that on the open market. I don't think other teams value him like that.
What about $45 million? That's what Kyler Murray got.
That was a few years ago, though.
That was a bargain, and he never went to the conference.
Well, no, that was a terrible
Super Bowl.
No,
that deal hasn't worked out at all.
But look at right now what we're talking about and all the teams and places that need quarterbacks and how desperate they are.
Yeah,
this draft is devoid of. This is not last year where 6 guys are going in the first round. So I think if you had Purdy on the open market this year, he'd be gangbusters.
No, I don't think
higher
so
than
at all.
Darnold, that's for sure.
I don't know. You add Brock Purdy to maybe higher than Darnold, but you add Brock Purdy to the Giants. I mean, I think we're looking at a really bad team. You add Brock Purdy to the Raiders.
Listen, you
add
Matthew Stafford to the Giants, you might be looking at a really bad team. They might be a bad team. But the thing
same with the Raiders.
But the thing is that Purdy is still so young
Yeah.
that you'd feel like you can grow with him. The guy's, is he even 25? How old is Purdy? 26?
Yeah, but I think the Niners, they're realistic. Like, I totally disagree with you on the open market value of Brock Purdy. I think they know Brock Purdy works great here. You can't just put him into any system and expect him to be good. Like, that's like.
So use the Shanahan system. Half his coaching staff is all around the league. It's not like this is some state secret.
Watch the Niners in negotiation. I don't think the rest of the NFL is all in on Brock Purdy. You know why? Because he's tiny.
Well, there's a reason why he was the last pick in the draft. It's not the measurables, Pearl. If he looked like Boomer Esiason, he would have been a higher pick.
If your team, forget the San Francisco. If your team is like, hey, let's go out and pay $60 million a year for 4 years for Brock Purdy, do you think any team would celebrate that?
Well, I'm curious how the 49er fans feel. 855-212-4227. Prof just basically said he's not worth this money.
No, definitely not. None of these quarterbacks are. All the deals last year were awful. They all just completely they were like, you pay a quarterback $55 million, get ready for a rough year, the way the trend is going.
Okay, but here's the thing, but if you're a 49er fan, you've got to be excited about this, right? This is your guy.
No, you're definitely not excited. You're not excited. You're just
holding your nose and signing.
No, you say like, we got to do this, but it sucks because it's going to cost us the ability to add talent elsewhere, and we're going to have to give up players. Like, you're like, we have to do this. I think it's more of a begrudging. Did you think anyone's like going to have fireworks because they just gave up 3/4 of their cap to Brock Purdy?
Well, let's put the poll question out there. Not anybody. This situation. Do you think the Niners are begrudgingly signing Brock Purdy? Yes or no? Are they begrudgingly signing him, or are they running to sign him?
I think it's begrudging. I would vote that.
I think they're running. Look at what else is out there. Like, who do you want to bring in? You want to start you're not going to get traded. They're not going to do a Stafford trade. They'd never do that in the division.
He's got
Aaron Rodgers?
He's got one more year under contract, so they're not bringing anyone right now. But listen, you have Kyle Shanahan. Just, if worst comes to worst, you lose Brock Purdy, then just find a Matt Schaub type and throw for 5,000 yards and let the defense get good again. I
forgot those Texans teams was the dynasty that we all forgot.
He took Matt Schaub.
They didn't win jack.
He took Matt Schaub to the playoffs. He had 4,800 yards. Matt Schaub.
Okay, they also, when they got Jimmy Garoppolo and he had 5 good games, they made him the highest paid quarterback in the league.
And they were in the Super Bowl 2 years later.
Right, so but you're saying if they really felt like they could just do this cycle with quarterbacks, why would they pay these guys?
Well, I think that's what I find this whole Brock Purdy thing. I know we got to get to Bogusch in a second. I find this whole Brock Purdy thing fascinating because nobody out there seems to be questioning this money for him. Like, nobody. Like, I haven't seen one NFL person say, maybe Brock Purdy's not worth $55 million. It seems like that take is not even a thing. Are you hearing that anywhere?
No, I think people are saying it for sure.
I feel like the insiders have all decided, like, this deal's happening and they have no choice. It's a massive deal in a team where Kyle Shanahan falls out of love with quarterbacks almost immediately. I'm very curious how this is going to all work out. I mean, I like Purdy a lot. I think he's a good quarterback. But look at last year. You paid all these guys $55 million, and they either got hurt or stunk.
855-212-4227. 49er fans, is this a begrudging signing? Are you holding your nose and signing Brock Purdy, or you like the fact that he's your QB, going to be your QB for the future? Bogues, this juicy story about some NFL insiders maybe getting into it in a Starbucks. Should we do it this hour or next hour?
You're asking me?
Well, I wasn't sure if it was leading your headlines.
It is not.
Okay, then let's get to the real sports. What's up?
Headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and progressive.com.
Whoop.
As we've discussed more than once, the Sixers are a bad basketball team, which means the Knicks were able to beat them last night.
Hart will hand to Brunson as he gets across midcourt. He has scored the last 6 Knicks points. 95 seconds left. Steps back on the right wing, guarded by Maxey. He sends Hart below the basket to get more room. Walk up 3. It is good! In and out and back in again. Jalen Brunson delivers 8 consecutive Knick points and a 3-point lead with 1:23 to go.
That is from Knicks Radio. Brunson finished with 34, 7 assists. His team beat Philly 110-105 thanks to that late push because they blew a 14-point third-quarter lead.
That's neither here nor there.
The win comes on the heels of those humbling losses to the Celtics and Cavaliers.
Yeah, we knew that. Just happy that we came in with the win. We still have a lot of work to do.
The Knicks play in Memphis next. The Grizz are second in the West, so that's probably an L for New York.
I had such a
hope you
great
jam a
text.
finger.
I had such a great text to the Knicks fans in our text thread teed up. I was ready to go. I was going to laugh so hard. In fact, I'm laughing that you even let that Sixers team get close. That's
guess
worse than a loss.
I guess we'll never know.
Worse than a
guess
loss.
we'll never know.
They lost 8 in a row. When Paul George
9.
drops
And
his
now you lost
podcast,
9.
they had
Now you
lost
lost
8 in a
10.
row. And then Paul George drops his podcast. They almost beat your Knicks. That would have been the funniest game of the year.
The Sixers almost winning a game. That's a story to the end of time.
2024-25 Sixers right
Honestly,
there. They almost beat the Knicks.
Letting
Almost
the
came
Sixers within 20 points is much worse than losing to the Cavs.
Okay, sure. Anyway, enjoy the podcast, P. Oh, wait, you don't have that anymore either.
The Clippers snapped their 3-game skid 122-117 in Chicago. The Thunder fought off the Nets 129-121 in Brooklyn. Chet Holmgren, 22 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks. And the Pacers down the Raptors 111-91. Tyrese Halliburton, 33 points and 11 assists. Possible top pick, Abdul Carter may soon have foot surgery. Agent Drew Rosenhaus confirming yesterday Carter is dealing with a stress reaction in his right foot. He could have surgery and recover in 2 months, or he could just rehab it and work out for scouts at Penn State's Pro Day next month.
Oh, this is a disaster. I feel terrible for this guy. I really do. I mean, we've had enough conversations with your friend, renowned foot doctor,
Yeah, I was
Rob
about to say.
Positano, who always says, don't do the surgery. I don't know what he says about screws, but that is not what you want to hear. I feel really, really bad for Abdul Carter. But here's my question. You're going to need the surgery, most likely, right?
Well, it's a stress reaction, though. It's not a fracture. So,
Well, what do you think's next? If you
Well, no,
play
I
on
know.
it for 17
well,
games.
no, but I mean, he's not playing for another couple months, though, right? Like, he has plenty of time to rest, in theory. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
Rock, maybe we should get Rock on the line. I don't know. I assumed you didn't need it, but
I just think that if you get 2 games into the season or 3 games in or 1 week into training camp, would you be at all shocked when the headline comes across Abdul Carter needs season-ending foot surgery?
Definitely
I'm
not.
a little concerned. I'm a little interested why they just didn't get it done right away. And he shows up to the combine post-surgery, so I fixed it.
Right, like, and why did he show up in Indy not knowing about it? Was it not that big of a problem? Because he found out by the medical scans apparently at the combine. Was his foot sore and he was ignoring it? I'm confused by that too.
And I listened to the sound of him at the combine yesterday, and he was saying that he's feeling great and that, like, he feels like the injury was behind him. He's ready to go.
And that was his shoulder, I thought.
Right.
He got hurt in the CFP.
So he's talking about being healthy, and then now the foot was also hurt. Like, it was very confusing to me.
But how far does he actually drop? I mean, listen, the Raiders took Tyree Wilson, who was very hurt a couple years ago at 7. Like, Abdul Carter doesn't fall out of the top 5 to me.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
I think he still could go one.
I mean,
You just are taking on so much more risk now when we talk about athletes and feet. That feet and your back are the 2 things that scare me the most with athletes.
But he's not like a huge guy. He's kind of small. He's like he's the clone of Micah Parsons. I don't know. It doesn't scare me like an NBA big man for some reason. I feel like I'd be shocked if he fell out of the top 5. Yeah, you're right. It might cost him number 1, but maybe not even. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Could you take him Could you not take a quarterback?
Yeah,
and take him
I've
and have his
never
foot
understood
fall
the
off
Abdul
and-
Carter number 1 steam. Like, you're going to take a 250-pound pass rusher over a quarterback there? But it seems to be a lot of people. That was picking up all the steam on earth that Carter would be go number 1. He was good in the college football playoffs. I will give you that with one arm. Have you ever seen a one-arm guy pass rush like that? Like, so if he could do that with one arm, maybe he only needs 1 foot.
Just
Maggie.
1 foot.
He can limp
There you go.
around on 1 foot and get to the quarterback.
Men's number 1, Auburn cruising to a 106-76 win over Ole Miss last night. Number 7, St. John's clinched at least a share of the Big East crown with a 76-70 win at Butler. Number 17, Kentucky almost losing at Oklahoma.
Oway's got it. Goes to his left. Down the lane. Angles right. Flips it up. Goes in with 6 seconds to play. Here comes Oklahoma. Fears. Drives into the lane. Goes for the rim. It's blocked by Garrison. Picked up by Brea. Oh, my. Zeros on the clock, and the Cats get out of Oklahoma with a win. What a win.
That's from the Kentucky Sports Network. Otega always scoring with 6 seconds left. Then that block for an 83-82 escape from Norman. The Winnipeg Jets extended their franchise record win streak to 11, 4-1 in Ottawa. And Japan defeated the U.S. women's soccer team 2-1 in San Diego to win the She Believes Cup. The U.S. had won this event 5 straight times. Guys, back to you.
Folks, thanks so much. Lots to do today. Obviously, the Matthew Stafford stuff is kind of at the top of the mountain here. No pun intended, that he met with Tom Brady at a ski resort in Montana or thereabouts. Brady's got a house there. Stafford's there. I'm looking at this exclusive club, Bogusch, that you're telling me about.
Yeah.
Where they may have met. The Yellowstone Club.
Yeah, I think that might have been where Stafford was to go to Brady's house if Jordan Schultz's report is correct. But this Yellowstone Club seems to have a lot of a cool spot for fancy people.
So I'm looking at their website. This is how fancy this place is. You don't even get to see what it looks like on the inside. You only get the mountain, the golf course, all the things you can do around. You get the exteriors. You will not find one photo of what it looks like inside. That's fancy.
It's probably overrated.
Jeez.
I think it's the opposite. I don't think highly of it if you can't show me a picture.
What do you think? You walk in there, it looks like The Shining?
No, I just think that it's probably like mid. It's probably like
Just
okay.
an empty room.
Yeah, no, it's probably like okay. It's probably 4-star, 5-star, but not like something insane. Like what you don't show in this social media age, you don't have any indoor pictures. That's bizarre to me.
At least on their website.
Yeah, you need the Yelp review before you go down to this Yelp.
Matthew Stafford's a ski club.
Absolutely. Or the Google reviews even. Google reviews underrated. Google
I think
reviews tell you a lot-
I think
tell
you're
you a
dead
lot.
wrong. I think there's a fancy world that is not accessible to us on social.
And
on
they're just
social
like,
media.
trust us.
Right.
We got it.
And the
Yeah, I
folks
feel
that
like it's
go
out
there
there.
are not doing Google reviews.
Yeah. I feel
Kelly
like they're-
Stafford,
yeah.
89, is just like, service could have been better.
I don't know. Kelly Stafford seems like the kind of person that definitely is deciding where she's going based on, what people are saying online. Definitely.
I think her circle, she feels like a Keeping Up with the Joneses kind of person. I thought you were going to say Kelly Stafford seems like the kind of person to be like, I need to speak to the manager.
Oh, that's that's
How
a
many
given.
times do you think Kelly Stafford has uttered, I need to speak to the manager in her life?
Far too often.
Well, listen, we kid. We don't even know her. 855-212-4227. Thank you, Manny. We're joking.
No, we.
Yeah.
Get me out of this scenario.
Yes. Perloff's afraid his membership to the Yellowstone Club is going to get revoked because I'm making a bad taste joke. Okay, we have the media beef we did not see coming, which is hilarious and apparently almost came to blows in an Indianapolis Starbucks. Got details for you. And let us know, 49er fans, are you begrudgingly signing Brock Purdy or are you excited about this potential contract? M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. Got a couple questions that we're ruminating on this morning, and hope you're doing well. Number one, if you're a 49er fan, are you excited about Brock Purdy for 50, 55, maybe $1 million? Or is this like begrudgingly like, well, Brock's here. Guess we got to sign him.
That's what I would vote for.
See, I think they're excited about it. Like, Brock saved everybody's bacon.
Nobody wants to spend $55 million on a quarterback, any quarterback. Because
okay, but
the key
don't
to
take
getting
it to any quarterback. We're talking about this situation.
No. I'm saying like no team wants to give up that edge of having the rookie deal. So just start with that. Like, I don't think the Niners, they're definitely not excited about signing this deal. Like, hey, you think you're a GM. Like, when you sign Brock for all this money, it's going to cut off a lot of avenues for the Niners. So, no, I really don't believe like anyone that's like, oh, great, I got to give $60 million to my quarterback.
Okay.
It's just not something that, and this situation particularly too, because you need talent around Brock. So I do not think they're excited about this.
So, but here's the thing. It's so clear in the NFL, the haves and the have-nots. Either you've got a guy or you're searching for a guy. You've got a guy. This is the going rate. I'd rather have Brock Purdy than probably Dak Prescott. And I'm not just trying to make willy-nilly comparisons here. I'm just saying, like, I think people are excited about this. Andrea is in Berkeley. Are you excited about Brock for $55 million, Andrea, or is this like a begrudging signing?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm impressed with Brock Purdy for the most part. Mm-hmm. I mean, he went from Mr. Irrelevant. He was like the final draft pick. So, that nickname, and I really think he did everything he could to overcome that. I mean, it was like, what was that? The 262nd overall draft pick of the 2022 draft. And he's a Capricorn, and that's the thing. Capricorns are old souls. He's born December 27, 1999, so He's an old soul, but a youngin'. And I really was impressed with his work ethic. I mean, he kind of was very systematic. I don't know if he's a system quarterback, but very pragmatic, certainly, deliberate, methodical, I would say. Just, like the mountain goat, slowly but surely climbing the hill, very accomplishing and goal-oriented. So he really is wise beyond his years. And I think that would be a good signing. I mean, he had, was a little injury prone and nothing's perfect.
Right.
But I really think he's just really reliable in that way. And I remember the Jimmy G days. Those were kind of fun.
Jimmy G, not a Capricorn. I'm just going to
No,
guess.
He's a Scorpio. But, I remember that was a really different energy that the 49ers
Different
were running.
everything with Jimmy G. Andrea, thanks so much for bringing your unique perspective as always. Did that sound? Would you want to be a? I don't know what sign you are, but
like slow and steady.
Yeah. Do you want to be an old soul? Do you want to be a Capricorn?
No, I want to be Jimmy G. I want to be a Scorpion. I don't know what Scorpion means, but I want to be hot like Jimmy G. And by the way, I think Jimmy G and Brock have a lot in common. They're very similar quarterbacks to me for obvious reasons. And the funny thing is, I think Jimmy G might be the Rams quarterback, and they'll go head to head again this year in a big Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan mix. Now, Brock Purdy had 20 touchdowns and 12 picks last year. They gotta wonder, does Brock Purdy elevate this team on his own? Okay. Last year he did not. So I just think this excitement about signing him, I just don't get it. It feels more begrudging to me.
Brandon Ayuk hurt, Christian McCaffrey hurt, Trent Williams hurt.
Right. So did he raise the bar for everybody else?
That's three big pieces. Sam Darnold didn't raise the bar. If he had his top, if Justin Jefferson was out. And running back is out, and also they did lose their left tackle, and he was feeling pressure. So, I don't know. I don't know if we were asking a little too much from Purdy there, considering how much they lost last year in the offense for injury.
Well, yeah, but Purdy's going to cost $20 million a year more than Darnold probably. Darnold's probably going to be in the mid-40s. Purdy might be, you're saying reset the market. He might be close to 60. That's a lot.
Okay, this is a crazy story. You're welcome to weigh in, by the way. Our fans, are you begrudgingly signing Brock Purdy, or are you excited about Brock Purdy? Also asking you about Matthew Stafford and the Raiders. Does this feel like a good fit? Quickly, though, want to get to this story that went down at an Indianapolis Starbucks. Apparently, our friend, he is a friend. We're friends with both of these people, actually. We just saw both of them. Jordan Schultz, NFL insider, and for Fox, and Ian Rappaport, the NFL insider for the NFL Network, got into a verbal altercation at a Starbucks. And Perloff, it was Jordan who allegedly went up to Ian Rappaport and basically gave him a "what's your deal, man?" And they had a serious confrontation where Ian Rappaport ended up calling NFL security.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. So because Jordan's way bigger than Ian. I've seen insider on insider Twitter fights, but never in person. But actually, you know what? There must have been. I actually, if I comb through the years, there's probably been fights among reporters, but this is unique. This is crazy. And I like both people, so I'm not going to
Not taking a side?
No way.
I wonder if it feels very obvious of what the most recent thing could have been about. Now, we don't know if this goes back years and they have all this beef, but this is about this current report about whether or not it was a coincidence that Matthew Stafford happened to be in Montana to meet with Tom Brady.
Play him if you want to.
Might be the stupidest thing for two insiders to actually have a fist fight over in the history of the world.
Well, I don't know, man. I think this is a pretty big report. Was Stafford with Tom Brady in Montana because it was on purpose, or was it a coincidence? Jordan Schultz says that this was not a coincidence. He goes, if you think that this was a coincidence, I got a bridge to sell you. And Rappaport is downplaying it, but you're right. The fact that this almost came to blows makes me think it's not the first thing. Maybe there's been tension that's been building up over months or even years, and then they finally saw each other. And the funniest part about it is the location. The fact that it went down in the Indianapolis Starbucks, and Jordan Schultz is the son of Howard Schultz, who owns Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
That I didn't know.
What a home field advantage. You guys didn't know that about Jordan?
Oh, this is new information to me. That's very fascinating. That's why he pulled up.
Mag, so you like this reporter. Watch Schefter and Florio got each other. That's always really fun, too. Schefter's been throwing hammers
I know
at everybody.
the one insider nobody wants to fight, Jay Glazer. Jay Glazer is knocking everybody out.
Yeah, he's got an MMA gym. I'm not stepping a Glazer. Also, his info is pretty airtight. 855-212-4227. Brock Purdy and the 49ers. What about Matthew Stafford and the Raiders?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
I don't know if the Rams were ever really going to get rid of Matthew Stafford, but it's getting real now because you have multiple teams fawning all over him. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Pearl, two desperate teams, the Las Vegas Raiders and the New York Giants, definitely in hot pursuit of Matthew Stafford, with the latest report that Stafford met with Tom Brady in a fancy ski town in Montana. And Jordan Schultz of Fox is reporting that. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network saying that it was a coincidence. I'm going to have to side with Jordan on this one. I do not think it was a coincidence. I think that the Rams gave Stafford permission to find a trade, and boom, the Raiders are maybe trying to sell themselves to get Stafford to accept a trade to the Raiders or to even push it from his end.
Yeah, I don't understand this at all for either team. Why would the 4-13 Raiders or the 3-14 Giants want to add one of the most expensive, older, injury-prone quarterbacks in the league when you don't have a good team around him? I don't get it. Like, this seems unprecedented to me.
I don't want to say most injury prone. Matthew Stafford is a very tough dude. Like I don't, and he was healthy last year, so I don't want to all of a sudden like Matthew Stafford, who we're talking about is a top 5, top 7 quarterback. Well, now all of a sudden he's in a wheelchair. Like that's not how it is.
But
he has a market
saying,
for a reason.
Why would a 3-14 team add a $50 million quarterback or $55 million quarterback?
I think it's just because there's not enough guys coming out of the draft this year. I think if we were having another draft year like last year, which had 6 guys who were going in the first round, I think you would not see the market for Stafford maybe the way it is, but this is the supply and demand of it all. And with the other quarterbacks out there, Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold, this shapes up very well for Stafford.
Right. But why would a team that has no talent, like, don't you want to figure out a way to build a team? How are you going to build a team if you're giving all your money to Stafford and giving up draft picks? Like, what's your rebuild plan? I don't understand. Usually teams that are really bad try and get cheap and build a lot of young talent around them. They don't bring in a ready-to-win-now quarterback. Like, if you bring in Stafford, you better hope that you are a real contender immediately. Otherwise, what's the – I still don't get the point, especially the Giants. Like, what is the upside? Like, I don't even understand, like, the thinking in any way. It feels like a makeup for Saquon.
Well, here's the thing about the Giants. I think you're right that history plays into this, and there's a human element because – you have 2 guys in Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll who come into the season on the hot seat because the owner, John Mara, said, if I don't see improvement by the end of next season, there's going to be changes around here. It's as close to, I don't know if it's a playoff mandate, but it feels pretty dang close. And here's the thing about the Giants. Inside the building, they think they're a better team than they are. So it's delusion from that aspect. And you got guys who are literally trying to save their jobs. Like, let's not pretend, everybody, that all decisions in the NFL or professional sports are strictly made by a winning and losing calculation. The most important thing for Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll at this point, Perloff, is keeping their jobs. And they don't have if they were picking first overall and they could take Cam Ward, then I'm sure they would probably do it. But they're picking 3rd overall. So there's no guarantee that they're going to have a quarterback, and they can't go into the season with Tommy Cutlets.
Well, you're saying, so if by that logic, I mean, John Mara is not a moron. He understands, like, I'm not going to let this coach on the hot seat spend all my free agency dollars for the next 10 years. So you're not going all in. He can distinguish what's a move to save my job and what's a move to build a winner. Like,
are you sure about that?
Yeah,
have you watched the Giants over the last 10 years?
I watched the Hard Knocks, and John Mara's like, I don't know about trading Saquon, and Joe Schoen's like, let's do it. Seems smarter than Joe Schoen to me.
Well, he didn't step in and say, don't trade him.
Well, the
buck stops with him. He's going to let these guys make a decision. He's not a good owner anymore, guys.
Well, you always say interventionist owners are not a good thing, right?
Well, but at some point, you are doing a disservice when you have this big decision to make and you let two guys that you've put on the hot seat make the decision.
Well,
you reap what you sow there. Like
But
that's on you as an owner.
That's how the NFL works. So, I mean, there's always going to be coaches on the hot seat. Of course, they're going to want to bring in veteran players. It's up to the front office and ownership to say, hey, you're not going to do that. Like, and I think that, like, they're not going to, John Mayer's not totally out of it. Like, he's got to understand. Like, if Joe Shane's like, all right, well, why don't I just spend all my cap money for the next 8 years, all for this year, just to save my job? Like, that's not going to happen. You cannot do that.
Watch them. I mean, do you think these
they
are...
already spent half their money last year. Brian Burns and...
Exactly. See, they think they are closer than you and I think. They'll look and say, we got Brian Burns, we've got Kayvon Thibodeau, we've got Dexter Lawrence. These are actually good pieces on defense. We have one of the best wide receivers in the entire league, in Malik Neighbors, right? We all think that. Andrew Thomas, who they gave a lot of money to at left tackle and drafted very high, he'll be coming back from injury, and you've got an offensive-minded head coach. They'll say, what? Like, we actually have pieces here. You could argue they may have more pieces than the Raiders.
Well, everybody has. Raiders have the worst skill position in the league. I don't even think it's close. I mean, Brock Bowers is good, but what is Zamir White starting now? And who's their number one receiver? Nobody. So, yeah. But then again, like, I think it's idiotic. Like, what's your upside? Possibly 9-8?
Okay,
if you're
but
the Giants?
So here's the thing, though, that you're not able to answer for me. And I'm saying that the Raiders and the Giants pursuing Matthew Stafford is a smart thing, because what you can't tell me and what you can't tell me about the Raiders or the Giants is who's going to play quarterback.
I don't even care. Like, honestly,
you can't. That's not an answer.
Pull the Raiders and do a Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell combo, because I'm saying I don't care in the sense that, like, I'll tell you right now, if Matthew Stafford's a quarterback next year, you know who's not the quarterback? You know who's not the quarterback in 2 years? A top 10 pick. You know who's not the quarterback in 2 years after that? A top 10 pick. Like, there's no answer. You have no future at quarterback. You are stuck in NFL limbo. You're not going to get back to the playoffs for 10 years.
Okay, well, they have not been a factor, the Raiders and the Giants.
And the Giants. They haven't
been a factor.
Same conversation.
So 2 years can feel like eternity when you've already been bad for as many years as they have. And I think in a perfect world, would everyone love the 10-year rebuild or the 5-year rebuild? Sure. But you know what? These two teams and these two franchises are bad for a reason. They don't allow people to have 5-year rebuilds. They don't do the 10-year rebuild. So I think they are saying 2 years. Okay, let's try to make the playoffs. Let's do 2 years of fun, and then we'll figure out after that.
But it's a huge cost. I mean, look at the Broncos salary cap situation. And
they just made the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but they're not like a legit contender because they spent all their money for 3 years. Like, this is a huge blow to the Giants. Trust me, Eagles fans, Commanders fans, Cowboys fans, they're like, spend away on Matthew Stafford because this is like putting them in limbo for a long, long time.
The Commanders.
I actually feel bad for Giants fans. Like, they might not be back in the Super Bowl in my lifetime.
Well, no one was expecting him to make the 2 runs they did. You know, they kind of came out of nowhere, both 07 and 11.
Right. I feel like the universe is helping them. They're saying, be bad this year, get Arch Manning next year, and it's all going to history repeat itself. But instead, they're going to do this short-term Band-Aid, or at least they're trying to, which will knock them out of, like, serious contention for a decade.
Yeah, because they're impatient. And here's the thing. This is why they've turned into an unrecognizable franchise, if you're being quite honest, because they've missed so hard on GM and on coach over the last decade. They find themselves in this cycle, and now they need to make a massive swing to bring themselves out of it. And to be honest, there's mixed messaging coming out of the Giants. The owner says, I want to find the quarterback of the future, yet I need to see improvement by the end of the year or else everyone's out. And the GM is saying, we've got to win now. So the human element is definitely playing a role. The Raiders, you could argue, listen, you just brought in Brady, you brought in Carroll. You could have a little more time, but the Raiders are also picking 6th. So they are not even close to striking distance likely for one of these top QBs.
Yeah, I think that they, to heavily invest, and also, too, the Raiders, like, they're going to have to pay an arm and a leg for Stafford. Mm-hmm. I think the Rams will hold these teams over the barrel.
They might.
So if the Raiders give up a first-round pick, oh, my God, like a future first, not this year's number 6, I'd feel really bad. I would just feel bad for Raiders fans.
Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4227. Paul's in Delaware. Paul, you're a Raider fan. Do you want the team to pursue Matthew Stafford?
No, I don't. I think it's a bad move. I was hoping that Sanders would fall to 6, only because having Chip Kelly now, working with quarterbacks would be, a young quarterback, could move them along a little bit quicker. But the Raiders, I've watched them, all their games. I've been a fan for 50 years, and their offensive line is young. They need a lot of help there. And they only have Bowers. I mean, they have no running game at all to help Stafford. I think it would be a bad move by Stafford going there.
Yeah, but you know what, Paul? The Rams might not want him anymore. But here's the thing, right? And I get what you're saying, and there's not a ton of talent on this Raiders team. Obviously, they won 4 games last year. But, Pearl, if you're asking me the positions that I need to shore up in a hurry, then I'll take running back and I'll take wide receiver. As you're asking me to find my generational left tackle, well, that might take me a second. But in this day and age, with how much talent is at the college level, this is a running back draft, and they're all wide receiver drafts. So I feel pretty good about filling those 2 holes with the draft.
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at, how come they haven't drafted a receiver the last?
They did. Henry Ruggs is in jail. I mean, that would have been most likely a good pick.
I'm just saying, generally, though, they've had trouble finding this receiver. And running back, yeah, but the problem is, as the caller mentioned, the line is not good. So, you need a good line to have a running game. I agree with you. Like, you don't need to sign a fancy running back, but it's real thin right now.
I mean, they traded for Devontae Adams, and the whole thing blew up.
Also, their defensive guys are really good. There's some good players. They're getting old, too. So you have this aging, very expensive defense, this young, unknown offense. The whole timeline's kind of a mess. And as I keep saying, like, they're pinned behind these great teams. Tom Brady should have bought another team.
I don't know if he was able to get involved. Like, what other owner would be like, yeah, Tom, take the key? Well, I guess maybe the Dolphins would.
I don't know.
They blew that.
Actually, a lot of owners, the Giants would have been smart to do that, too.
They should have. George is in L.A. George, there was a meeting between Matthew Stafford and Tom Brady in Big Sky, Montana. Was it a coincidence or not?
No. It was they're playing games. They meant to meet. They can claim they didn't, but it's like me trying to sell you a bridge. What are the odds of they're both going to be there at the same time?
Yeah.
Big Sky, Montana. Come on. Anyway, I predict that the Raiders actually would be a better fit for Stafford simply because it's so close to L.A. It's an easy transition as far as moving. And Pete Carroll's a good coach, and Brady's,
Brady's Brady.
Small business guy, whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing is if it's going to happen, I can see the Raiders. Yeah, but the Raiders are going to have to give up quite a bit, I imagine.
George, I didn't mean to put words in your mouth yesterday, but I said on the air, I said we have a fan, a Rams fan, who calls the show often. His name is George. And George, I think we talked about this with you not too long ago. You're fine with Matthew Stafford moving on, correct?
Yes, I am, because I'm looking at, hopefully, I don't know how we're going to do it, but I'd like to get Arch Manning next year. I think it's stockpile draft picks.
You're going to have to get really bad.
Why would you want Arch? I mean, if you have Sean McVay as a coach, do you need, like, the number 1 overall pick to be good?
No, you don't. But I think Arch Manning's going to be a generational player. I think he's way better than anybody even imagined. I think he might be better than all of his uncles.
Yeah, but you have Kyron Williams, you have Jared Verse, you have Braden Fisk. You have way too many good players to go 1-17.
Wait, that's what I'm not questioning George wanting Arch Manning, George. It's a smart call. I mean, who wouldn't want Arch Manning? Like, even if it's Sean McVay, of course you want to pair him with a generational talent, and now you got the next, Bill Walsh, Joe Montana. Like, you could be off and running for a long time.
I disagree. I do not think, and I'm sorry, I love you, George. That is not a smart call. That is George Costanza saying, I figured out a plan to trade for Ken Griffey and Barry Bonds. Yeah, of course you want Arch Manning. There's no way you're getting Arch Manning.
I don't think the Rams are going to be bad enough to get Arch.
Well, you're not even going to be, you're not even close. You're talking about teams like the Giants and the Raiders getting Stafford. They have a better chance at Arch than you do.
Although, we always have to keep in mind with the Manning family, the draft order does not matter in their world. That is a suggestion. We saw what they did with Eli. You do not have to be picking number 1. If the Mannings want Arch with Sean McVay, they will find a way to make it happen.
No, you have to be in the top 5. I mean, there's no way.
Well, they might be able to get in the top 5 if they really try.
This Rams team, unless McVay retires, there's no way the Rams are a bottom 5 team. Also, their division kind of stinks. Even without, if they put Jimmy G at quarterback, they're a playoff threat, right? They win 9 games.
I love this Jimmy G resurgence. Amazing.
Well, I mean,
Devontae Adams, like, this guy is getting me killed. He got benched in the last place he was.
Right, but I mean,
what do we think's going to happen here with Jimmy?
they're probably a wild card team. No,
I don't think he can stay healthy. On
Yeah,
top of
maybe.
that, you're talking about this line is a sieve and this. I mean, I don't think that Jimmy's going to stay healthy. He's not exactly Lamar Jackson back there.
They just have a lot of talent on that team. They've been on fire in the draft. Like, they have really good players everywhere. To get high enough for Arch seems crazy to me.
I think we forgot how bad Jimmy was in Las Vegas. He looked like he should retire.
Oh my God,
but that's
Devontae
Las
Adams
Vegas.
put it on Netflix. He needs to be benched.
Yeah, but that totally
For Aiden O'Connell.
It's meaningless. It's like being bad with the Jets. Who cares? Put him with McVay, and then we'll see. They like him there. That's what Diana Rossetti was like. Yeah, they think he's a good quarterback. Jimmy's won a lot of games in the NFL.
I just think that I would say that too if I were the Rams, because I'm doing this whole dance where I'm trying to convince people that I really don't want Stafford, don't need him, and I'm just as happy starting Jimmy G. So, give us your best offers. 855-212-4227. Okay, Stafford to the Raiders, Stafford to the Giants. Do either of these teams make sense? You can let us know what you think. We also have some potential rule changes that are coming to the NFL this season. We'll get into that. And the media beef that no one saw coming. It's the Maggie Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Something that our friend George in L.A. said last segment really is sticking with me.
What's up?
He said, I want the Rams to get Arch Manning next year. What do you think the rest of the NFL is thinking about the Rams putting Matthew Stafford on the trade market? Is one of the weirdest things. They were really good last year. They won the division. They won the division. They pushed the Eagles to the brink in a snowy Lincoln Field. Like, it doesn't make any sense that they would want to part ways. Is the rest of the NFL being like, well, the Rams are a really smart team. Maybe I don't want to play in this field. Like, is something going on here that we don't know? It feels like it doesn't make, none of this makes any sense. Like, you're going to have a 37-year-old, $50 million quarterback go to a 3-14 team. He belongs on the Rams. Is it all a negotiation? Are we getting played? I find this to be one of the most mystifying NFL personnel things I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, we can hear a little from Sean McVay. He was on the Fitz and Wit.
Yeah.
Cool. Ryan Fitzpatrick and Andrew Whitworth. He was on their pod. And Manny, can I hear cut 5? Basically, they said they want to keep Stafford, but they got to keep the big picture in mind.
There's no dispute, and let's not get it twisted in regards to anybody wanting him to be our quarterback. Now, there's layers to it. And as you try to put together the puzzle for your football team, you have to be able to say, hey, how do we continuously build? How do we support him? How do we make sure that he's getting, what is his worth relative to those things?
Yeah, I mean, I think basically what it comes down to, I don't think they want to pay Stafford. I think Stafford probably had a moment after they won the Super Bowl in L.A. where he could have asked for the sun, the moon, and the stars, and he didn't. And I think he left some money on the table. And now he's probably looking at Dak Prescott and Tua and Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence and all these guys getting money and saying, what? Like, I am taking my team to the brink of the NFC Championship game. Those guys aren't doing anything close to that. I want mine.
Yeah, and why wouldn't the Rams give it to him?
I don't know if they feel like they want to spend that.
Why would they not want to spend that? Like, what?
Well, you say yourself that these quarterback salaries are getting kind of crazy. Like, maybe they want to start over.
I think that they could get him for 2 or 3 years. Like, where does he fit better? The LA Rams, the Las Vegas Raiders, or the New York Giants?
Well, obviously the Rams.
Right. I mean, right. That's what I mean.
Well, that's why he hasn't been traded yet.
Oh, yeah. That's my other question. Are we just getting played in a negotiation?
I don't know. Let's go to Big Friendly as our pal in Cali. What's up, Big Friendly?
Good morning, Maggie Malone, DJ the EP, Daddy Cool, 411, Manny De Niro. Let me hold something, baby. Good morning, and thank you for taking my call.
What's on your mind, pal?
Okay, real quick. We all know a month ago I told you guys the Niners are going to sign Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy signing is like getting clothes at Christmas from your aunt. You smile, but deep down you're disappointed.
Aw. We were asking you today, are the 49ers begrudgingly signing Purdy? Or are they excitedly signing Purdy?
They're begrudgingly signing Purdy, but Purdy don't count. Let's talk about Matthew Stafford. Now, what MCU multiverse did I wake up in when they were talking about Cooper Kupp being traded? Now it's just Matthew Stafford. And no, Magsy, it was not a coincidence they were in Big Sky.
Yeah,
Remember
I know.
the
Tell
Bahamas
Perloff that.
with Matthew?
Tell Perloff. He thinks they just ran into each other like it was the 7-Eleven.
No, Daddy Cool. Remember the Bahamas with Matthew Stafford, how they just happened to be vacationing together?
Was it?
It was Cabo.
Cabo,
and
yeah.
I felt like I feel like
Cabo.
an idiot for thinking that was actually a happenstance.
I think
Perchance.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I think this is Matthew Stafford's playbook.
I think George, my buddy who's a Rams fan, Archie Manning is a dream that I don't think we can achieve. I think we hold on to Matthew Stafford until his arm falls off, because I agree with Daddy Cool. There's no better fit than Los Angeles unless you ship him to a team that's ready like Kansas or a Philly, but they have quarterbacks. They're the best fit. I got to get back to work. So
Big
thank
friendly.
you guys.
Great to talk with you, pal.
What
yeah, Rams fan. Big friendly.
We might have just had a sea change right there. What if Big Friendly starts everyone calling him Archie Manning instead of Arch Manning? That would be huge.
I'm gonna say Archie Manning. I don't think he's making a lot of plays.
Yeah, Archie Manning is a comic book guy from the 50s. That what a major difference that is. Like, if a guy walked up to you in a bar and said, "My name is Archie," compared to "My name is Arch," that's a game changer right there.
Well, what's Arch's full name?
Archibald.
Right.
Really? Is it?
He could be
Yeah,
Archie.
yeah. But
it's named after the grandfather.
Yeah, but
his name is grandfather's Archie.
yeah. Like, but nobody's scared of an Archie. Archie is like a kind of a lame name, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's lame?
Yeah.
But Archie Manning is cool.
No,
Even as an
well,
old,
he's
as an
cool
older
because he was born in the 30s.
No, Arch Manning. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Archie Manning, the old Archie Manning is cool, but you can't be Archie. Like,
Hold on, but didn't some like the older names, aren't they kind of coming back in vogue? Like the names are cyclical.
I mean, Prince William tried to name his kid Archie, and I don't think that's worked out.
They've got a kid named Archie?
I believe that kid's name is Archie.
Yeah. No, that's like the
All
next
right. I mean,
king.
the royal family doing it, guys. If it's good enough for them.
But don't you think
they've had a great run the last 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah. Don't you think Arch is cooler than Archie? You think Archie?
No. Arch is definitely
Archie's amazing.
Is the modern version, but I disagree with you that Archie sounds lame.
Oh, yeah. I think it's totally lame. Like, Archie's got red hair. He gets beat up on the playground. We all know that.
Archie is just like one step below, like, Richie. Like,
Richie.
Richie Cunningham,
Yeah. Like, so I'm Andrew, and Andrew's kind of cool. We all know that Andy is a little bit like, oh, Andy.
Maggie's husband?
Yeah, I know.
He goes
Andy
by
does it
Andrew
too.
and Andy.
I
You
gotta
guys
have a
all
lot.
have multiple names. His college friends call him Drew. It's a whole thing.
Right, but my mom calls me Andy. It makes me feel, when someone calls me Andy, I feel like I'm 9 years old. You know what I mean? I don't even like Andrew. I'm not a big fan. Nobody really calls me that in the real world.
I know.
either.
That's why McLovin was just so chef's kiss perfect.
But everyone, my whole life has called me Pearl. Nobody ever called me Andrew. I never.
Wait, but you guys have a problem with Archie because it's the IE at the end. Like it sounds a little like younger. Like I don't
It
understand
just sounds
why.
like you should be like a B character in Happy Days. It just doesn't sound. It just doesn't sound modern
what about
at
Ricky?
all.
Lame.
Yeah, I part of me thinks that at some point you got to drop the IE or the Y off the end of your name.
Or
you could
Robbie.
Yeah, no.
I mean, even Danny Hurley's now Dan Hurley.
Right.
Like he knew. Bobby Knight became Bob Knight.
So what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, Manny's screwed.
Man
Rodriguez.
No,
Manny's cool.
You get out of this from like a side door because it's not man to Manny. It's a man. It's like it's a complete different thing. Like my wife was Katie for a long time. She still kind of is, but now I feel like Kate is better. And like if you're like
Yeah, I see that.
Billy Jacquelone sitting outside, he probably should be Bill Jacquelone by now.
But if he's Bill Jacquelone, we've got to imagine a whole new life for him.
I'll one up it.
I'm sure he's time for that too.
You should go William
Yeah.
or Will.
Yeah.
How about Billiam?
No.
Will.
I feel like you guys are taking the shot at Archie for no reason. Just the
No,
name,
no.
not the person.
I said he was cool. I have no issue with Archie Manning. I'm saying that Arch Manning shouldn't be Archie. That's the thing.
Yeah. Arch is definitely better than Archie.
I think Arch to Archie is about 4 draft spots. Like,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, dead serious.
Luckily, he's handsome. So he's not fighting that either.
I mean, look
bad
at
face.
Look at the names of this year's draft. I mean, you're telling me like would you rather get a guy named Archie or Abdul Carter? I mean, come on. That name is awesome.
Well, I
Travis
have a question.
Hunter, that's a good name,
Archie
too.
Manning should be repping Abdul Carter in the draft.
But here's the thing. Like when I said names are cyclical, we're going to be eventually at a spot where all these Jacksons and Brooklyns and all those things are also they're going to sound old and outdated. Like at some point that's going to happen. All the Jacks.
Jalen's.
I don't know if Jalen needs an update. I mean, I named my kid Lucas. I know it's something like that was very in vogue, and now I'm sure it's going to cycle out, and people are not going to name their kid that anymore.
There's a girl in my son's 5th grade class. Her name is Sharon, and I think she's new. And he said her name. I'm like, there's a girl, a 10-year-old named Sharon. I didn't think that was a name, but so maybe it's coming back.
Right?
But it's not.
It's like fashion. It's all cyclical.
Only Sharons I knew were my friends' moms.
Right. Like we're not really making Debbie's anymore
Nope.
and Kathy's. But maybe soon.
It has nothing to do with like what the actual name is. It's what you do with your name. Like if you take any name and you add it, as Bogusch said, an EY to the end, and that you're laming it up.
So am I supposed to be Mag now?
Well, Maggie, Margaret would be different.
I don't have a full name.
Like if you were
that's my full name.
running, if you were running
Magenta.
a hedge fund,
What am I, Blue's Clues?
if you had like a serious job, like you were running a company, you would have to change your name.
You'd have to be Margaret,
You'd
whether
have
you
to be
like it or
Margaret.
not.
You'd
You
like
guys
Margaret
don't think I
Thatcher.
could run a Fortune 500 company with the name Maggie?
No.
You're nameists.
Yep.
Yeah. My daughter's
You're
name is
nameites.
Wait, it's not magenta?
I'll be honest. Now I'm going into my news anchor bag. I don't know if like a news station would want Maggie.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
By the way, my daughter's name is Emma. Emma ain't running any Fortune 500 companies. Never would happen. There's no Emmas. But I'm looking at the draft. There's Will Campbell, offensive tackle out of LSU. If he was Billy Campbell, he'd be like a 3rd rounder.
What are you talking about? He'd be a legend.
No. And if he was Willie Campbell, he'd be undrafted.
Billy Campbell would be he'd be a split end from LSU in 1954. Like he would not be a top 10 pick.
Well, Billy Campbell could be like a long-haired middle linebacker from like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Straight
How about
off the farm.
Michigan
strength.
quarterback Will Johnson, Billy Johnson.
Nope.
A cornerback? No, I don't think
Billy
so.
White wasn't Billy White Shoes Johnson.
Different
wasn't a
times.
quarterback.
Again, he's very cool in the 70s.
Yeah.
Gosh, you guys. I mean, it's so judgmental.
I've been thinking a lot about another draft prospect.
What about Billy Sims? You're talking about Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's 1985.
Different time.
Actually, it's 78. Mike Green is a big, hot draft prospect. He's a defensive end out of Marshall. Amazing. Incredible YouTube reel. He's going by Mike. Now, what do you guys think of that? He's Michael. Mike is a little lame, I think.
But it's not Mikey.
Okay.
You know what I think?
Mike's fine, guys. Like,
No.
Mike's totally fine.
Mike's not running your bank.
The
Michael
best-
is running your bank.
Okay, the best quarterback in the history of the NFL is just named Tom. Like, you can just be named Mike.
No, I think you should go by Michael.
When was he picked, by the way?
True, exactly. Only Bill Belichick saw the foresight there.
Thomas Brady goes in round 1, no doubt.
Exactly.
Everyone in Tom Brady's inner circle, by the way, calls him Tommy.
Yeah, I know.
So this blows your theory just straight to Mars.
I don't know. We'll see how he does as a partial owner.
Yeah, I know. Brady's still proving himself.
See, I feel like if you're Michael, you got to go by Michael and then let people call you Mike. That's cool. Like when people say, then they call Michael Jordan Mike, that's cool. When they call Michael Jackson Mike, that's cool. Just saying you're Mike, I think, is a little weird.
Mike Breen.
But actually,
You guys
that
got
works
some
for him.
weird math that's
There's
going on.
some-
You can talk about girl math. This is some weird boy math when it comes to names. Like, Michael's cool, but don't call him Mike. And definitely don't call him Mikey. Mickey, definitely out. How about Moxie? That'd be pretty cool. Like, I don't know where this is
Moxie?
coming from.
I mean, as you lay it out, it makes perfect sense, Maggie. I'm not sure why you don't get it.
What am I missing?
Yes, exactly.
You know whose name is really helping them in this draft process? North Carolina running back Omarion Hampton. I mean, Omarion, that guy's going to be good.
That sounds like a singer.
There's no doubt he's going to be good.
Oh, speaking of names, Michael Pennis, did you see, yeah, it's a little close, clearly. Did you see the baseball prospect, 17 years old? And Manny, I'm curious to get your take on this because we know you always look at things, first from the Latin view, putabounty.com, which you thought was actually some kind of Spanish curse word. His name's, to me, gringo, Jesus Made. Is it Jesus Made?
Well, he's Latin American?
Yeah.
Well, then, yeah, it'd be I would have to see if there's a tilde anywhere in the vowels.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Jesus Madre.
See, that sounds cool a little bit, rolls off the tongue a little better than Jesus made. No?
Jesus made is
Jesus
actually
made is
kind
actually
of
kinda
tough.
cool.
Yeah.
Like
That's
Jesus
actually
Shuttlesworth?
tough. If you were like any athlete.
He'd be in the Achua family. Precious, God's gift, Jesus made. How did they miss that one?
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting Boogie Flan out of there. Even that's an awesome name, Jesus made.
I know. It is cool. He's 17 years old. He made his Cactus League debut yesterday.
Jesus made is some star that plays on Dykeman.
Yeah, Jesus made is averaging 35 in the New York City Catholic League.
I don't think you could call a Latin baseball player Jesus. I don't think that works.
No,
really.
definitely Jesus.
99%
You would be in a
chance
little
it's
bit of
Jesus.
trouble as a newscaster.
There you go. Cool name, though. Keep an eye on him.
Jesus Shuttlesworth.
I believe he plays for the Brewers minor league team. Bogues, headlines. What's up?
The only ranked-on-ranked game in men's college hoops last night did not disappoint. Number 8, Michigan State. Number 16, Maryland. Tied at 55. Final seconds, Terps basketball.
Gillespie for 3. Goal or no. Holloman looks the clock. Half court for the win. Oh my goodness. Holloman from half court to win it on the road.
I think that's Jason Horowitz, Big Ten Network. Trey Holloman from behind half court to get Sparty a 58-55 win. Your thoughts, Tom Izzo?
That was a lucky shot. But nobody can say we didn't deserve to win this game. I mean, we made some bad mistakes. Give them credit. We threw the ball away a little bit and everything. But we deserve to win this game. To come into this place. I'm so proud of my guys.
You'll note he's not Tommy Izzo. No drama, meanwhile, for top-ranked Auburn, a 106-76 win over Ole Miss. But number 12, Texas A&M, did lose 86-84 at home to Vandy. Women's number 2, UCLA, handled Wisconsin 91-61 behind 26 points and 10 boards from Lauren Betts. This means Saturday's game with USC decides the Big Ten. No need to mention a Blazers-Wizards game in late February unless...
And I'm not sure what they were looking at. Outlet pass grabbed by Smart. Oh, Shaden Sharp cocked it back. A vicious right-hand hammer. Ho-ho! Wow!
Go find the video of Shaden Sharp going over and around Justin Champagny, one of the best dunks of the season. That was Rip City TV with the call. He finished with a career-high 36 in a 129-121 win.
I saw that on social media last night, and the Blazers claim it's the greatest dunk of all time.
It's not.
It's not, but I understand what they're talking about. That humans should not be able to do what he did. That was insane.
Thank God, Perloff. Thank you for supporting a great athletic feat. We know sometimes some dunks you're not impressed by. So
Well, John Moran almost hit his head on the top of the backboard the other day.
Yeah.
That was
also
ridiculous too. Guys are jumping through the roof right now. It's like more than they ever. Would you say that vertical is higher everywhere?
This sounds like your velocity argument.
Yeah, no, no. That's
Everyone's throwing harder.
That's because the radar guns are screwed up. But
Right. Yeah. No, Pro said everyone's running faster at the combine because the clocks are messed up.
Oh, that's 100% true.
Yeah, the rims are lower now. That's why Shaden Sharp jumped so high.
No.
He's got it
They
crazy
secretly lowered them.
That thing with John Morant the other day, it looked like he took an elevator up to the top of the backboard. He was just standing there for like a minute. I'm like, what is going on right now?
Have we had Shaden Sharp in a dunk contest, or did he get hurt and couldn't do it?
He did do a dunk contest.
He did. Okay. Did it go well?
No.
Mac McClung got him?
I think that was McClung's first win, I believe.
McClung's like King Kong. I mean, you just can't take him down. He's
What,
just
3
too
in a row,
good.
right?
Yeah.
The thing is, like, the dunk contest is there's no science. Like, you could be a great in-game dunker and not be a great dunk contest dunker. Like, Shaden Sharp should have been amazing. Like, I thought he was going to win easy, and he didn't.
I mean, this is it's an incredible dunk because it starts with the steal. Like the setup. If the Trailblazers are saying this is the greatest dunk of all time, they're not saying like, there's been more creative dunks, but in the flow of the game to just come up with the steal and then yam it home like this is pretty amazing.
I mean, the vertical's nuts.
Yeah, and like shifting around the dude in air to like clear space is nuts. But my favorite in-game dunk remains Sean Kemp going like down the lane, reverse double clutch at the Garden.
Wow.
Like, in-game.
That's a classic. My dad was at that game.
Oh my God, that one makes no sense in the flow of a game. Like that's a dunk contest dunk during an NBA game.
Sean Kemp's probably the most underrated dunker ever. He easily could be top 3 or 4 dunkers, especially in-game.
Definitely.
Does Manny know him?
Yeah, when I was wearing my Sonics hat,
I thought that was for Kevin Durant.
It could have been.
Well, I feel like, by the way, there's like 5 or 6 super famous in-game dunks. I don't think this makes that list. I don't think it's going to be like Kevin Johnson or Tom Chambers.
New addition.
I don't think it's going to be Tom Chambers or Kevin Johnson or Michael Jordan reversing on the baseline on Ewing. Like, there's like a few dunks that
DeAndre Jordan.
My reason being Shaedon Sharpe and the Blazers are like not. He's like 12 years old.
I was going to say, it depends on how good he becomes. Like, because he's had a great season, and he looks like a good piece. So if he becomes a future All-Star, then I think this does go into his catalog.
But, I mean, the other guys we're talking about are like renowned stars on good teams. I think that it's hard. I think it's going to be hard to make this historical. And Vince had average Vince Carter dunk is better than this, too.
This felt Vince-like. I don't know. It feels a little disrespectful.
Yeah, no. But
let's not downplay it. I mean, it was amazing.
Vince could have done this. I would have said, "Yo, that was an awesome Vince Carter dunk, right?"
I think in Pearl's defense, I'll say that I saw the tweets about the dunk before I saw the dunk, and when I saw the dunk, I'm like, I thought it was going to be better.
See,
not that it wasn't.
That's not Shaedon Sharpe's fault.
Right.
That's social media's fault.
Yes.
Yeah, because I saw it at halftime of the Knicks game, not knowing what was coming, and I was like, "Oh my!" And I had to curse, and Andrea yelled at me.
Other NBA last night, Amen Thompson, 25, and the Rockets 118-106 win over the Spurs. The Kings won in Utah 118-101 for a 3-game lead on Phoenix for the last spot in the West play-in. Mike Trout went deep in yesterday's spring training game with the Reds. First time he has homered in anything resembling a big league game since last April. And on ice, Nathan McKinnon, 3 points in Colorado's 5-1 decision over the Devils. And the Canucks top the Kings 3-2 in overtime. Vancouver retakes the last wild card spot in the West from Calgary. Guys, back to you.
Folks, thanks so much. Well, the results are in of the league-wide survey, and guess who got an F? We'll tell you next. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie Perloff Show. Pearl, I want to give you a little credit for something.
I'll take it.
Okay. When Aaron Rodgers originally signed with the New York Jets, you said your first reaction was, this is never going to work. And the reason why is because...
It's the Jets.
Exactly. That's what you've always said. The Jets are the Jets. There's no way. Not even a 4-time MVP can't help this mess.
You give me credit for that. Is there anybody in America who doesn't feel that way?
Well, I think there were a lot of people. I'll raise my hand. I thought that he was actually going to make them respectable. I thought they were going to be a playoff team. And you're right. The Jets went nuclear Jets, and this thing has ended as a complete disaster.
Well, I did pick the Jets to make the playoffs 2 years in a row, I believe. So I was right with you.
Okay.
But generally, though,
I'm trying to give you credit here.
We all did. Yeah, no. But we all know, the Jets have this stigma.
Right. So is if the Jets needed another embarrassing headline, yesterday, the NFL Players Association released the results of their league-wide survey. Now, they do this with every player. There's over 1,600 players on every single team evaluate just their own team. So they don't ask them to answer any questions about other teams, just your own team, facilities, nutrition, the weight room, the locker room, how you treat people's families, the coach, the owner, all of that. The only team whose owner got an F is the New York Jets. An F. Can you imagine giving your employer an F? I would be honest, I'd be afraid somehow this would get back to me. I know it's an anonymous survey, but I would still be worried. This is the person who signs your checks. So you got to be totally willing to say this person stinks. How about this for the overview of the Jets? The Jets dropped from the 21st overall ranked team, Pearl, to the 29th overall this season. Rather than addressing concerns, players believe that management responded to feedback by making conditions worse.
Yeah, you know how I feel about these. To quote Ryan Fitzpatrick, a former Jet, he's like, wow, there must be a bunch of whiners on that Jet team. This says more about the people giving them the F. Look at the other. Robert Kraft always does bad on this thing, and he's won 1 million rings. The Chiefs are I say make it even. I agree with Woody. You know what? Cut out their water. It's just
what?
These things are so dumb. I hate these NFLPA rankings. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it says to me, you have a bunch of whiny players who do not like their owner.
Or he's a bad owner who they say doesn't contribute to a winning culture and they don't believe actually wants to win.
Yeah, but Clark Hunt gets a terrible grade every year. The Chiefs do awful in this thing, and they win all the time. Robert Kraft got a D this year.
So Robert Kraft got a D. Clark Hunt got a C-.
Yeah. And those, look at who has all the rings.
Well, Andy Reid got an A+, though. So for maybe other things that matter, head coach got an A+, and you also have culture setters like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Chris Jones and stuff. So that makes up for it. But if you don't have those kind of players and you don't have that kind of coach, then I don't think it's whining. I think it's a cry for help.
Well, there was this one thing in this thing where they grade what it's a daycare like on game day for people.
Right. Do you provide babysitting, basically, and childcare on game days? Not every day, just 8 home games.
Yeah, did that not annoy anybody else? It's like you're getting paid $6 million a year. Like, there are people who are desperately trying to figure out how to take care of their kids in this world, and you can't pay a babysitter on game day? That was like, what are we doing here, people? Why does this thing even exist?
Well, I mean, do you ask the same thing for the tech companies like Google and places like that who provide, a year of maternity leave and give their employees like these nice perks? Do you tell them like, oh my gosh, there's other companies out there who only give you a month, so why is anyone, so what, they shouldn't? Like, it's a nice thing to offer.
It's a nice thing to offer, but you can't, if you're making all that money, you can't complain. If some Google guy walks up to me and says, I can't believe they didn't provide 8 hours of daycare for me, I'll be like, dude, you're making $1 million a year. What are you complaining about?
Well, it's not 8 hours of daycare, I don't think. It's 8 times a year.
I don't know. Like, it feels like an unnecessary perk. Like, again, that's only a small part of the grade.
Yeah.
It just feels like complaining.
Treatment of families. Some of the worst teams in terms of treatment of families. The Jacksonville Jaguars got an F for treatment of families. The Cincinnati Bengals got an F-. So they actually feels borderline disrespectful on how they treat the families in Cincinnati. Arizona Cardinals got a D+.
Wow.
Well, here's the thing, Pearl. I mean, yeah, if you want to compare the NFL to people who are working 3 shifts at a coal mine, then yeah, it's going to be a lot different. But it doesn't mean that the NFL, whose owners are making all this money, can't provide some services to the teammates. And also, not everyone's making $6 million.
The owners provide a contract, and that's the deal. Like, you pay, you think that anyone's going to turn down the money from the Arizona Cardinals because they don't treat their families well? That's not a thing. Like, give me a guaranteed contract, and then we'll talk.
But you don't think that things could get better? You don't think there's any value to these surveys?
No, because the Chiefs end up bad on them. I think there's no value. Honestly, the only thing I care about is standings. I do not care about these NFLPA grades. I think if the Chiefs keep doing badly on this and keep winning football games, then I think other owners are going to be like, man, maybe I should get a C-.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. You mentioned the Patriots and the Chiefs are 2 teams that don't exactly get these stellar grades.
Right.
But let's take the Patriots, for example. People have tried to replicate the Patriot way, and it's not worked.
Like who? Like, you mean like all the coaches?
Yeah,
that go
all the
out?
coaches and trying to be Belichick light, and it doesn't work. There's something about, it works for them. Or it did work for them. We'll see about the future. But it worked for them, right? I don't think every other team in the league can say, you know what, we're going to just take the Patriots approach here, copy, paste, and all of a sudden we're going to have a dynasty, because clearly that hasn't worked out. So there's something that's attractive about the Patriots, something different about the Patriots that works for them that other teams can't replicate. You can't treat everybody, badly and still think you're going to win. This was a unique thing with Belichick and Brady that worked for them.
I hear you, but I'm looking at like the team ownership grades, for example. Like Stephen Ross of the Dolphins is number 1, A+.
A's across the board for the Dolphins.
Yeah, and they haven't been to the AFC title game since 1990. So if I'm a fan, I'm like, well, maybe stop with treating the family so nice. Maybe get some of that family away from the team, and let's start winning some football games. I'm looking at Arthur Blank at the Falcons. I mean, come on, that's a mess right now.
He gets high grades.
Yeah, he gets. I'm looking at all the A's for the owners. There's Arthur Blank, Ziggy Wilf for the Vikings. They were pretty good this year. Greg Penner with the Broncos. He's brand new. And I mean, the Chargers, I thought that nobody liked them.
They got an A.
Yeah, an A+. So anyway, I want wins. I don't care how good the daycare center is in my stadium. Am I crazy? Am I being too mean?
I think think it's funny that the Green Bay Packers ownership got an A-. They don't have an owner.
Yeah, it's the people.
Own it, Maggie.
So they surveyed everyone who's got one of those certificates?
Yeah.
Well, congrats. You got an A-, everybody.
The
You're
people
doing a
got
good
an
job.
A-. That's great.
You're doing better than the Jets who got an F.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Could a meeting in Montana tilt the balance of power in the NFL? Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I don't know tilt the balance necessarily, but it could be one of the big dominoes that falls. And who was the meeting between in Montana, Pearl? We found out yesterday from Jordan Schultz, the Fox insider, that it was Tom Brady meeting with Matthew Stafford. Now, some of the details are in contention, like how coincidental was this, or was it on purpose? Feels very much on purpose to me, because the Rams have told Matthew Stafford, you can seek a trade, and we know the Raiders are interested. So now the minority owner for the Raiders and the quarterback meeting at a fancy ski resort seems just a little bit too on the nose. But, listen, I kind of like this for the Raiders. I like a swing for the Raiders because they're not drafting high enough to ensure that they're going to get a quarterback. And after that, I don't really love the other options.
But let me ask you, what do you have to give up to do this?
Well, we're all going to find out, because if the Giants are also in hot pursuit of Matthew Stafford, and we can argue whether that makes any sense, but if the Giants are in hot pursuit, they're at least picking third, so they would have a better shot, I guess, at getting one of the QBs in the draft. But what are the Giants willing to part with? It's really just now it's just a negotiation.
So there's two things. One, if there's two teams, you're all of a sudden talking about a first-round pick. The Rams want a first-round pick. That's a huge cost, because both those teams could be top 5 in the draft next year. It's very, very possible. That's a big risk. Like, you cannot risk losing a future quarterback. Second of all, you're probably going to have to pay 3 years, $160 million. Your cap is going to be screwed by this deal.
The cap keeps going up, though. We always joke that the cap is a figment of our imagination. It's gone up the last 2 years by like $50 million. So I don't know.
I don't know about that. I mean, there's a big advantage of having a cheap quarterback.
Well, yeah, but this is the thing. The Raiders, and we'll just pause on them for a second when it comes to the pursuit of Stafford. You're playing the hand you've been dealt. You're the 6th overall pick. That's not going to get you probably Cam Ward, and it may not get you Shedeur Sanders. So rather than wait around or maybe sign a guy who's a lesser version like a Sam Darnold, why not go for a dude that immediately raises your floor, right? Why not go for a guy that immediately lets you compete in the AFC West? You've got an experienced coach. You've got a couple pieces. You're going to have to improve the roster, like, no doubt. I'm not saying he's walking into a sleeping giant here. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be better than what you got.
Well, no, see, the answer to why not is because you kill your chances of building a Super Bowl roster. You just, in one foul move, you kind of doom yourself to good, not great for a long time. That's why not. I mean, and that's why no 3-14 or 4-13 team has ever gone out on the free agent market and signed a $50 million quarterback, really. Well, actually, I guess the Browns did.
Yeah.
But the Browns had, it feel like, I'm looking at the recent situations, you had the Broncos getting Russell Wilson, you had the Jets getting Aaron Rodgers, and you had the Browns getting Deshaun Watson. This is a similar situation, maybe a little less high profile, but the Browns had Myles Garrett. The Jets had Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. The Broncos had been building up their team for trying to get Aaron Rodgers. They had Jerry Jeudy and a bunch of guys. Like, the Raiders don't have anybody. The Giants don't have anybody. Like, you're bringing in this really good quarterback with no team around them.
You're also, though, not putting any kind of Super Bowl expectations, which, whether that was right or wrong, existed with Deshaun Watson, with Aaron Rodgers, with Russell Wilson. It was, they're going to come in, and all of a sudden this thing is going to be gangbusters. I don't think that's what the Raiders are looking at. I think they're saying, let's get back to respectability here. Let's steady this ship. That's one thing that Tom Brady, I think, definitely has shown us throughout his career. The guy is not a high and low. He's very steady. And I think that's what they're trying to get to. Hey, let's try to dig ourselves kind of quickly out of this hole, because I don't know if they trust any other option at quarterback.
Yeah, but I don't get it. I feel like they've been in limbo for so long. They've been around 500 for 5 out of the last 6 seasons. This puts them around 500. How do you...
Well, for the first year. Then you see what happens in the second year.
It's going to get worse and worse.
Well, you don't know that.
Well,
You don't know
I'm just
that.
saying, that's how I view Stafford as a 2-year window.
Okay.
And that's it. And I think this is going to be the better of the 2 years for Stafford. And then it's going to start to go downhill.
Okay, but, here's the thing. We can't predict that.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's going to happen. And he could get hurt like Aaron Rodgers on the fourth snap of the game, or he could go on and be their quarterback for the next 2 or 3 years and kind of be like that. I don't say bridge because he's way better than a bridge quarterback, but gives you time with a combination of, Pete Carroll and Tom Brady, guys who think they could maybe find a quarterback a little bit later rounds, but give them time to develop. It gives you a little breathing room, does it not? A little, as opposed to going into a season with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, and everyone's going to write you off from week one.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that'd be, I guess, if that's your goal to be 7-9 or whatever, 7-10.
I don't think every team's goal is Super Bowl. And
why though? Why? What other possible goal is there?
Well, because they're a 4-win team. So going into next year and saying that we're a Super Bowl contender sounds ridiculous. The Giants have the longest odds to make the Super Bowl.
Right.
They're so far away. So improving from 4 wins to 8, 4 wins to 9.
I mean,
gangbusters. Sign me up.
The Raiders, they won 8 games in 2023. That was 2 years ago. What good did it do? Nothing. There was no impact on the franchise. And the Giants are like, if your goal is not a Super Bowl, then why even have a team? Like, sell the team.
No, I meant each season, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's baby steps here. Like, right. I don't think the Commanders went into last year and the goal was not Super Bowl. And they end up making it to the NFC Championship game, so now the expectation have changed. But everyone's in a different spot.
But does signing Matthew Stafford bring the Giants or the Raiders closer to a Super Bowl or further away from a Super Bowl? And the answer is, to me, very much further away, because it immediately takes away your chance of getting a franchise quarterback. Like, who are you going to get? You just have no chance of getting like the next Eli Manning or the next Patrick Mahomes, because you're going to be too good to draft somebody, and all your money's gone. So, like, where are you going?
Well, Patrick Mahomes is not the great example there.
Went number 10.
Yeah, like, you didn't need that. Eli went 1. Like, if you could find Patrick Mahomes at 10, the Raiders pick at 6, or at 6. The problem is this draft. This draft is an issue. If it was like last year where 6 quarterbacks went in the first round, okay, now we've got a little bit of option, and now I don't think there's a market for Matthew Stafford like this. But that's not what we're dealing with here.
Well, but I think you have to think bigger picture here. Like, they know next year's draft is probably going to be really good. So, you got Garrett Nussmeier's going to be there, and you got probably Arch, maybe not Arch. You got Nico. I think he's eligible, and you never know. And you get 1 or 2 guys who could emerge. This is a weak class. And again, this is not what fans want to hear, but I do think you have to think big picture as a franchise. Always think big picture. I mean, maybe the better version, if you told me Tom Brady's going to try and find a 5th rounder who's going to be the next Tom Brady, then I'm listening. But
they might do both.
Yeah, good luck.
Well, Pete Carroll found Russell Wilson. Tom Brady is Tom Brady. These are the late round folk heroes. I
am so curious, and this has been going on. Why do you think Tom Brady's going to be a good executive when every other great player turns out to be a bad executive? What's different about him?
Well, not every player is a bad executive.
Well, I'm thinking of Derek Jeter. Like, the level of him, Michael Jordan was terrible, obviously. Like, I feel like it's a big unknown whether he's going to be a good executive. He could easily be bad. In fact, it's probably more likely that he's bad.
Well, let's give him a shot, right? Let's give him a chance. I'm not going to write him off just because Jeter wasn't good. Elway was kind of a mixed bag. Won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, but could never really find that quarterback. Ozzie Newsome has been lights out, amazing.
Well, Ozzie Newsome and Tom Brady and John Elway are different things.
I don't know. Is Ozzie Newsome in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, but Ozzie Newsome was a Hall of Fame tight end for the Cleveland Browns. He's not in the GOAT conversation.
I'm just saying, you're asking for former players who were good at it. I gave you one.
No,
you don't want to
saying,
dismiss it. I just want to I want to see with Brady. I'm not going to bury him yet before I see the results.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, the odds are in this kind of situation, like, it usually doesn't go anywhere. And if he trades a 1st round pick and signs Matthew Stafford to a 3-year, $175 million deal, I'll be like, oh boy, this is Troubletown, USA.
855-212-4227. Adrian is our pal in Maryland. Adrian, what's happening?
Hey, Perloff, I'm with you. let's see what Tom Brady can do as an executive first before we put him in the Hall of Fame. Just because he was a great quarterback doesn't mean he's going to do that in the front office. Also, Maggie, I got to disagree with you about the Raiders.
Yeah.
I think they're in the win mode now. The win now, because that's exactly what Pete Carroll said at the press conference. He said they're trying to win now.
Yep.
He's 72, 73.
Yep.
It's not like he can wait 7-8 years to try to win. So I think they got to win now. And this report with Brady and Stafford just coincidentally bumping into each other. Come on now.
Convince Perloff this was not a coincidence that they both ended up at this fancy place in Montana.
Wait, Adrian.
I understand that it's a rich person place, but we got Tom Brady in the booth. Now he's meeting up with other people. I feel like he's getting some preferences here.
Do you think they will win now, Adrian, with Pete Carroll and say they did get Stafford?
No, I don't. I don't think they have enough on the offense. And they still got to re-sign what's the name? The defensive end.
Max Crosby.
Yeah, Crosby. So I think they got to build it. If Brady wants to be a good executive, he has to build something. They're not going to win. Not in the AFC. Let's say that. Not in the AFC.
Adrian, you're right. I mean, listen, it's a very tough division. Thank you for the phone call. I get so distracted here and every time I go to the website of the Yellowstone Club where they met, or where Stafford may have been staying or something like that. This might be one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. It is just gorgeous. Listen, this is the other thing. Nobody is saying that the Raiders' only plan is Stafford, right? They're kicking the tires on Stafford. So I don't think they're painting themselves into a corner. I don't think that they're saying they have to have a couple options here because, to be honest, they're just not sitting in a very advantageous position.
Yeah. I mean, and also, Adrian brought up, too, they should be calling Roger Goodell and saying, can I go to the NFC West? Get me out of this division.
Wouldn't matter.
That's the big problem here is, oh, man. I mean, listen, Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay, who hadn't made the playoffs in years, and brought them to a Super Bowl championship. So it can be done. It's just a really tough spot. And you say that's not their only plan. I haven't heard many other good plans. Maybe, why don't you trade a first-round pick, try and get up to get Shador?
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought maybe Dion and Tom might, kind of put their heads together and try to pull a Manning family situation and steer Shador to the Raiders. But again, there's a lot of factors and variables that have to go into that. You need a team that's going to play ball. You got to be able to make the trade. There's just so much.
Also, it feels like Shador is heating up a little bit, and it feels like the Browns are sending out the message that we're taking a quarterback. So I don't think he's going to fall enough. I still and the Titans, we're about to talk about Abdul Carter.
Yep.
With an injury, all of a sudden, he's iffy at number 1 overall, and then it's going to be a quarterback, so it's going to be harder for the Raiders to get up there.
Yeah, Abdul Carter, so already dealing with the shoulder issue. We obviously saw that in the college football playoff championship game, semifinal game, where he basically had one arm and still was effective, which is just bananas, but now has a stress reaction in his foot. May need a screw, may need surgery. And not exactly what you want to hear when you're on the cusp of making millions and millions and millions of dollars. We'll talk about that next with our pal Rock Positano, the world-renowned foot doctor, who usually brings a live foot to the live stream.
Usually, especially because you're requesting the live foot, Maggie. Are you putting the requests out?
I am, because you want to know what? It helps with the visual. And I think we're the only radio show in America that gets a foot on their live stream.
We would put your foot on, but we need the widescreen camera. It's just not like
it's not an IMAX.
Yeah.
So we'll do that next. We also have some poll questions out there for you at Maggie and Pearl on X. Does Matthew Stafford and the Raiders make sense? And also, are the 49ers signing Brock Purdy begrudgingly or excitedly? You can go vote at Maggie and Pearl on X.
All right, Maggie, the second half of the basketball season is here. It is race to the playoffs. It's totally awesome. Every night, NBA is great. And the best place to enjoy it is Prize Picks. You can cash in on your favorite sports. Over 10 million members, billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. So easy to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport. Also, let's not forget college basketball. Let's not forget hockey. Ovechkin with the race. There's so much going on right now this time of year. You pick more or less on their projection, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money.
Yeah, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app is available to even more folks. Our friends in California and Texas, go ahead and download the app now. Use the code MMP and get a $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. Can I interest you in a little Draymond Green points, rebounds, assists, more than 19.5, and Aaron Gordon points, rebounds, assists, more than 22.5. That one's from me to you. Okay, let's get back to it. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code MMP. Get a $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code MMP on Prize Picks. Get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. Win or lose, you get the $50 bonus credit just for playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Mand P.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Hyundai. The Hyundai helps protect you and your family on the road. We put your safety first and everything else second. All right, you know what time it is, Maggie. One of our favorites is joining us, Dr. Rock Positano, Hospital for Special Surgery. Of course, an expert in a non-surgical approach to the treatment of foot disorders, which is really why we wanted to talk to you today, Rock. Rock, we have a situation with the NFL draft. How you doing, bud?
Oh, well, my friend. How you doing, Maggie?
I'm doing great, Dr. Positano. Thanks so much for doing this. So there's a very important defensive pass rusher, and his name is Abdul Carter, and he just played for Penn State and wrapped up a phenomenal career. But now we find out that he has a stress reaction in his foot and has been consulting with doctors, may need surgery, may not. Can you tell us about a stress reaction, and should this require surgery? Give us the details.
Well, Maggie, that's a very good question. Of course, we should have learned something from 7'6" center Yao Ming from the Houston Rockets. Many years ago, they had done surgery on him also because he had a similar type of an injury. What people have to realize is that the foot is one part of the body that even if you do a surgery textbook perfect, there is no guarantee it's going to actually work, and in some cases make it worse, okay? So I think they really have to proceed with caution, especially with the size of this guy. I mean, one of the reasons why Aaron Judge did so well was because they didn't do the surgery on his foot. I mean, because of the size of the fellow, the fact that he has such great strength. So you need to be very, very careful with this, especially when you're dealing with a person that has to have what they call impulse driving, which is what a pass rusher does. And one of the things we also learned is when Lawrence Taylor ruptured his Achilles tendon, it was the same type of a situation where when you're dealing with a pass rusher, the ability to make a quick pivot on your foot is absolutely, absolutely imperative. And of course, you can imagine the tremendous amount of stress that puts on the rest of the body.
So Abdul Carter's a very young. He's I think he's 21. Does the age come into factor here? So he's about to go into the NFL as a draft. Could he say, you know what, I'm going to do this now, get it out, recovery out of the way for 2 months, and then start my career fresh? Or does he say, like Aaron Judge, you mentioned that, okay, I think I'll be a better player if I stay off this? Because maybe he thinks he can recover quickly.
Well, Pearl, this is the problem, is that, again, there's no such thing as simple foot surgery. I don't care how old you are, how young you are, how light you are, how fat you are. It has nothing to do with that. The problem is that the foot is an unpredictable part of the body because of the constant loading it has to undergo. So when people try doing things like surgery as a preventive measure, I mean, they really do open up the Pandora's box. And I think it would be a very dangerous situation to do something like of this nature to a person of this type of caliber in terms of their ability to be able to run, to pass rush, et cetera. So I would really proceed with great caution.
Dr. Rock Positano, world-renowned podiatrist, hospital for special surgery. Perloff's a patient and knows Dr. Rock's great work firsthand. Okay, this might sound like a stupid question, Dr. Positano, but I'm told there are no stupid questions. If you're going to put a screw in somebody's foot, does that mean surgery? Is that a surgical approach or a non-surgical approach?
No, that's a surgical approach. Okay. That's invasive. Okay. And again, Maggie, what happens in cases like this, once you start putting hardware in a person's foot, you change the whole biomechanics of the foot and the ankle. And that's the one thing that Leonardo da Vinci taught us, is that the foot is the absolute foundation of the body. If you start changing the anatomical and the functional nature of that foot, you don't know where it's going to go. And the problem is that he may get problems somewhere else in his foot. It may go to his heel, it may go to his ankle. And of course, in cases of a guy this size, it may also affect other parts of his lower extremity, like his knee, his hip, and his lower back.
Dr. Positano, you consult a lot of professional teams in multiple sports. If, for example, the Tennessee Titans have the #1 overall draft pick, and they called you and said, we really like this kid, but there's an equal player, Would you do you think we should knock him down maybe a pick or two because of this? What would you tell them?
Well, look, the thing he does have, Pearl, going in his favor is that he is young, okay? And he's clearly in excellent shape. There are so many things that could be done non-surgically in terms of rehabilitation, in terms of orthotic therapy, that could really stabilize this fellow's foot so that it does not need to get an operation. Yeah. And I think if they could stabilize it the right way, which there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do that, I think this guy stands a really great chance of having a great career without any tremendous problems later on.
Dr. Rock, last question from me, and it was going to be about the future for Abdul Carter. So let's say he, whether he gets the surgery or doesn't get the surgery, is this going to be a chronic issue that he's going to have to manage for the rest of his career?
That's a good question, Maggie. The answer is probably yes, again, because of the tremendous amount of force and pressure that has to go through the human foot on a daily basis. Because remember, it's not just when he's on the playing field, okay? It's when he's even just walking around. And people don't realize that walking is a tremendous amount of force and stress on the foot. So I think this is one of those things that has to be constantly managed, constantly evaluated, and then hopefully kept under control.
Okay, real quick, Dr. Positano, I want to ask about Aaron Rodgers. He is actually reportedly out of the country now, deciding whether he wants to play again next year, where he's going to play. Do you think he could be better next season?
Absolutely. One of the problems, Pearl, with that injury is that it takes 2 years normally after that type of surgery to really, quote unquote, get their footing back. And I have a funny suspicion that if he does play, he's probably going to make a significant difference somewhere else.
Wow. Jets fans don't want to hear that. I know you know a lot of Jets fans. That is a nerve-wracking statement.
Well, look, Pearl, that's the nature of the beast. Again, Achilles injuries are very, very difficult to manage. And of course, there's that psychological component that we mentioned, which no other type of surgery has. When a person ruptures their Achilles, it's always in the back of their mind. I mean, Lawrence Taylor, again, was a perfect example. He never got his step back because he always was thinking in the back of his mind, am I going to rip this Achilles again? So I think, it takes two years, usually 2 years, of not only just functional rehabilitation, but psychological rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you talk about a Pandora's box, when you're talking about Aaron Rodgers and a psychological anything.
Yes. Well.
He's a unique dude.
I mean, listen, you got me. You should see my confidence on the basketball court now because I work with Dr. Positano. Psychologically, I have so much confidence in my left ankle thanks to this man. Rock, great to see you. Yeah.
Hey, listen, guys, thanks so much. But remember, when you're dealing with a foot, always go non-surgical first because of what I said. No matter how well or how functionally well something is constructed, there's no guarantees because of that constant weight bearing that surgery is going to actually help. But unfortunately, it could also make it worse.
And next time we'll have the live foot model. Is she available? Last time you were
Kendall?
on.
Sure. Kendall, where's your foot? Kendall's here, actually. Kendall,
okay.
Let's see the foot.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/InfinitySportsNet, Twitch.tv. Where's the stress?
Oh, there it is.
There's Kendall's foot.
So where's the stress back? Where's the stress reaction? Can you point it out on Kendall's foot?
Well, I think it's more in the midfoot part, but again, there's been no specifics, okay? But Kendall tries very hard to take care of business around here, and we do very well as a group. We all have a lot of fun. There she is.
We didn't know we actually had a foot off camera this whole time. We could have had it on.
Well,
Kendall,
listen.
thank you.
Kendall, thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But look, listen, we have a lot of fun, but we do a lot of fun things here at Special Surgery. And we have a great group of doctors that work with us. And it's always a pleasure to be part of a world-class institution such as Hospital for Special Surgery.
Yeah, you guys are the best. The reputation is unmatched.
Yep.
Dr. Rock Positano knows everything. Foot, ankle, knows a lot about sports, too.
And an incredible writer, Dinner with DiMaggio. We could go on, and we'll have you back. The foot's waving behind you, by the way.
Foot's waving. I see it.
It's a little distracting. But,
find another sports talk show that brings a live foot onto their live stream. I dare you. You won't do it.
Hey, we try our best, to give the most accurate depiction of what's going on. So what's better than a live foot, right?
Nothing.
That's how I look at it. And look, things are going fun here. By the way, I don't know if you know this, Pearl. We have a new sports medicine chief named Dr. Riley Williams. Maybe you've heard of him. An excellent sports medicine doctor and surgeon. We're very, very thrilled that he's assumed this position here. So I think HSS's sports medicine program will continue to be one of the tops in the country and probably in the world.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rock. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
See you guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Dr. Rock Positano. And you know what? If Drew Rosenhaus, who I'm sure, is aware of Dr. Rock Positano, and that's Abdul Carter's agent, that's worth a conversation because, Dr. Positano said he's worked with everybody in multiple sports. I mean, he's saying the non-surgical approach is the best one.
Yeah, I mean, when I was hearing that, I was thinking, I think he might fall out of number one because of this, but I don't think he falls below 5. And honestly, I always thought he was maybe a Cleveland number 2 because if they lost Myles Garrett, boom, you put Abdul Carter right in there now. I think Cleveland's going to go quarterback. But you look at a team like Jacksonville at 5, are they willing to take a little bit of a risk here to get a potential Hall of Fame player?
I'm going to be honest, and I know Dr. Rock was actually putting a positive spin on this, that he could be fine, but he did say this could be a chronic issue that he's going to deal with for the rest of his career, and it's not just on the field. Think about it. You got to practice. You got to keep yourself in shape. You got to live your life, and if I'm a GM, I think this scares me off.
Yeah, but I mean, the guys who fall just a little bit, I think Micah Parsons fell a little bit because people worried about his personality. Warren Sapp fell because he failed a drug test. A lot of Hall of Fame guys fall. This could be like a classic, he fell back 4 spots and we got a superstar. I would still bet on him to be a multi-time Pro Bowler. He's awesome.
Yeah, those situations aren't the same. This is a medical issue.
No, but it's happened with medical issues too, where guys have fallen just a little bit because like Gronk, for example.
Yeah.
Gronk, they thought Gronk's back would not respond.
Surgery.
A lot of these young guys, the injuries come back to normal. I'll bet you if we go through, a lot of guys probably fell because of medical and then were really good.
Yeah, but Gronk fell out of the first round, didn't he? He was a second-round pick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Gronk was going to be a first-rounder anyway. It was a tight end. They usually don't go in the first round.
Andrew Bogusch is here with all the latest headlines.
Has Dr. Rock ever had the honor of working with the canvas of your feet?
I mean, I know the office is probably big, but I don't know. They've got the pure tonnage, to deal with a foot like mine. We know my feet are gigantic. And I know he's worked with 7-foot tall basketball players. They need a crane, basically. It's kind of like what you need for my feet.
Right, if we just showed him your feet, he would have thought you were like Yao Ming or Sean Bradley.
I mean, my feet would come up on the live stream like Jaws. You need to cue the music, dun it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was in there the other day, and CeCe Sabathia just left a minute. You can't have bigger feet than CeCe.
Try
right?
me. Why do you think I have such good balance? Yeah, I just I wouldn't want to scare Dr. Positano. I was like, whoa, it's the expectation because I'm a woman that my feet are going to be smaller, and then I hit him with the 2x4s.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking he's had LeBron in the office many times. He was a 16. That's a big foot.
Yeah, I mean, we could share shoes, bro.
Yeah.
What's that in women's?
Speaking of the NBA, the Red Hot Pistons welcomed the Celtics to Detroit last night, and they stayed hot.
Cade Cunningham with the basketball. Cade with 17, 9 assists. Little hip check by Stu. Off it goes to Beasley. Heat check. Oh, he hits another one. 96-79 Detroit.
Bees is on fire right now.
On fire on Pistons radio. Beasley hit 6 threes, scored 26 points. Cade Cunningham threw in 22 plus 11 dimes in a 117-97 rout, extending the Piston win streak to 8, their longest since 2008. Cunningham proud of that.
See it come into fruition now is a great thing. I'm happy for the city. But, I mean, I'm not satisfied at all. I think there's still a lot more work to do. I think the city wants to see a lot more. The city wants championships, and so we're slowly building towards that.
For now, the Pistons 4.5 games clear of the East play-in. The Celtics, meanwhile, see their 6-game win streak end. The Sixer losing streak did not end. It is now 9 after a 110-105 loss at the Knicks. James Harden had 30 in the Clippers' 122-117 win in Chicago, and the Heat hammered the Hawks 131-109. Tyler Hero 24 and 10 assists. I guess for the record, Tom Brady's agent has called the report that TB12 hosted Matthew Stafford at his Montana home, quote, inaccurate. But that's really the only thing Brady's camp could say, because if Stafford was at his home, that probably might have been tampering. And it is worth pointing out that both Stafford and Brady have dabbled in maybe illegal conversations with teams at times. So, again, it's not hard to put this all put it together, I guess.
Yeah, this is the meeting in Montana, as Bogusch just said. Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford, right when the Rams have said to Stafford, hey, you can go seek a trade. We know the Raiders are interested, and boom, they end up in the same ski resort town in Montana. I wonder who called who. I just feel like such an idiot that I ever believed that Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay meeting in Cabo was ever like a chance meeting. Yeah. I feel like such a dummy now. Wait. That makes sense.
Well, I thought I'm so sorry. I thought that was a chance meeting. I thought they were just both down there partying and they hung out.
And I don't think that was tampering necessarily, but Brady and Stephen Ross was tampering.
But I don't think McVay.
So Brady's cool with this kind of stuff.
I don't think
Brady
McVay,
on Stephen Ross's yacht cost him a first-round pick.
Right.
I thought McVay just happened to be down there. I thought.
See, I did too, but now they're going back to the same playbook twice.
But why would you not just happen to be down there in Cabo? And by the way, why does Brady need to meet with Stafford? If he wants to hand him the money, then what's the difference? What is this meeting about?
I think you need convincing to go to the Raiders.
Yeah. Oh,
you've been talking about how the roster sucks.
Yeah, you're not going to just say, hey, here's some money, show up in May. I think you need to convince me why I'm signing up to that train wreck.
So does Stafford have a no-trade clause?
No, I don't think so. He just has the ability to, as always, he can kind of...
He could always retire.
Yeah.
Actually, I did read this yesterday. Joe Corey had it on CBSSports.com. He does not have a no-trade clause. So Joe Corey is a former agent and said Matthew Stafford is the only person to blame for why he's in this predicament, that he could have held he could have held the Rams a bit more over the barrel after they won the Super Bowl to get a bigger contract. He didn't take all the money. He got surpassed immediately by Deshaun Watson later in that offseason, but obviously that was a crazy situation. And he didn't get a no-trade clause. So I don't know. I thought Stafford's agent was Don Yee. That's Brady's agent.
Yes.
So whoever Stafford's agent is, I'm assuming...
Jimmy Sexton.
Sexton. This guy's been around our whole lives.
Absolutely.
How do you not get him a no-trade clause?
I actually don't know. Are there a lot of...
Yeah, Josh Allen has one. Mahomes. A lot of the top guys have one.
Let me ask you this. Yes, it probably was intentional. You guys have convinced me of this, but don't you think all these people, when Matthew Stafford is retired, would you be surprised if he was hanging out the same place as Tom Brady? Of course he is. They all, all these people all go to the same places?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But it's probably, whether it was pre-planned completely or, hey, we're in the same town. I heard you're here. Let's get together. That's not, there's different variations of the same thing.
Did you say
they talked about the Raiders situation?
Did you say Carissa Thompson and Aaron Andrews?
That's how I knew of the club,
the Yellowstone
Club.
They were here this week.
No, but a lot of people and my guy Dave Matthews has performed there. Mountain Joy, who I also love, was just there.
Philly
that place just keeps coming up, and so I shouldn't know that it exists.
To you,
yeah, because I can't go there, but I'm very well aware of it.
And Montana is isn't it famous for celebrities everywhere?
Yeah,
Actors.
but so is Park City.
I don't think
Tahoe.
Montana.
Tahoe is Big Bear. I mean,
I think Montana is particularly
okay. But Pearl, the day, the time. It's not like we're on a holiday weekend.
I've also never heard of Brady being in Montana before. Not that he hasn't, but I know Brady in Florida. Yeah, but that's news to me too.
Yeah. So Peter King, I remember. I think because we weren't working together at the time. Maybe we were. His Monday morning quarterback after Brady won the Super Bowl. Peter did the whole column from Brady's home
in Montana.
In Montana, I could probably find it. He wouldn't say exactly where it was, but he does the description of his house. And also when Brady did Tom versus Time, there's a scene where Julian Edelman and Gronk and Deion Brandt, I can't remember who it was, they all go work out in Montana. So he's open about being in Montana.
Yeah, I can't watch the Brady propaganda.
Find a flat surface to run routes in Montana? I feel like that's a difficult place.
It's his backyard.
That's why they're so good. They're running hills.
Yeah, I was about
high
to say,
altitude.
It's all mountains.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the Rocky IV montage with Rockies in the snow.
Yeah,
I don't want to see Edelman twist an ankle on a rock in the Montana. This feels like a dangerous workout spot.
Oh, man, folks, thanks so much. We got a lot to do, including some college football news for you, which we will not neglect, and a crazy story that is finally being revealed after all these years. I've always wanted to know what really went wrong here with one very important historical team. And we got the answer. I'll tell you about it next. M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. Got a lot of news that's happening right now. The Matthew Stafford pursuit, Perloff, by both the Raiders and the Giants. Brock Purdy starting contract negotiations with the 49ers. Are they doing this begrudgingly, or is the team signing him excitedly? And we've got all this other news from the Combine. But would you allow me to go back to wrap up some old stuff for a second?
Yeah.
Because haven't you always wondered just a little bit of really why did LeBron James leave the Heat after only 4 seasons, right? Like, he makes this huge deal of going to Miami. I'm taking my talents to South Beach. And then all of a sudden, 4.
Not 6. Not 7.
Yeah, well, he got 2. He got 2 out of 4, which is not bad. And, after that, basically, he just, left. Went back to Cleveland. Now, a lot of people thought, okay, he wanted to make it right with the people of Cleveland, or he saw Kyrie Irving, maybe was super talented and thought, okay, this could be a better roster. Turns out none of that is true. We finally got the story courtesy of Dwayne Wade, who, of course, had the front row seat of why LeBron James soured on the Miami Heat. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, definitely. What happened?
Dwayne Wade on the Underground Lounge pod. Okay. Here's Wade saying he had a feeling that LeBron was going to leave Miami, and I kid you not, everybody, over some cookies.
This was the first moment where I had an inkling that LeBron may not be back. One thing you don't do is with LeBron cookies. No. This is serious. Like, he loves chocolate chip cookies. Like, chocolate chip cookies and ice cream, he loves.
Manny, that was your laugh track. Dwayne Wade is being dead serious here. Apparently, LeBron James, when he gets onto a plane, post-game, he's got 2 bags with him full of food. One is from his personal chef to try to keep himself in this amazing shape, and the other is a bag full of cookies. Now, this is just for the plane, right? I don't think this is after every game, but LeBron James wants to eat sweets after games. So here's more from Wade saying that LeBron loves his cookies, and Pat Riley had the audacity to take them away.
On the plane, and we play cards at the front of the plane. We play cards, and then at some point, Bron gonna be like, "Hey, bring me those cookies." And this one day, he was like, "Hey, where my cookies at?" And they had to come up there and whisper in his ear and tell him there were no more cookies on the plane.
Yeah.
That was set back away from the game. He pushed that cards back. He sat there quiet, doing his head like this. I was looking, I'm like, he ain't play cards no more. He sat there like this.
It's like, you got to know, if this card game gets shut down, serious.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's serious.
Guys, this is not a joke. Last one here from Dwayne Wade said it was about the cookies, but it was about so much more.
It was too much micromanaging at that point. Like, you're talking about a team who's 4 finals in a row.
Right.
You don't need to micromanage us. And I felt that Rhule he went a little too far with his micromanaging at points like that. You a grown man. You don't take the cookies away from us. And this seems small, but we get on and change all the chips. You got this that gets you through.
Yeah.
When I get on this plane, I want this because this is what gets me through, because now I'm about to fly to the city. I ain't getting in at 3 in the morning. The food on the plane I really don't want to eat. I can't eat when I get in. I got to get up in the morning. We got to do this again in D.C. Like, I got to have my comforts along the way, or I ain't going to be me. Rhule take all them comforts away when he hot.
Finally, we get the true story. Pat Riley took away LeBron James's cookies. Ladies and gentlemen, case closed. You didn't find this interesting?
I don't buy it totally.
Finally.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that was a great storytelling, but it feels like, kind of how when you look back 10 years later at a situation, I don't know. Do you really believe this?
I mean, Dwayne Wade is admitting that Pat Riley became too much of a micromanager. Now that you can believe.
Yeah, but also it feels like that's Dwayne Wade's opinion of Pat Riley. I do believe this is all probably true, but don't you think that they could have figured that out if he wanted to stay in Miami?
See, I'm not sure, because I think Pat Riley is one of those guys who has earned an my way or the highway, in his mind, has earned a my way or the highway type of thing. Look at how this all just went down with Jimmy Butler. I mean, I think that Pat Riley would say, no more cookies, guys. And I know best. And LeBron is coming at it and saying, I'm a grown man. And we had that, there's that footage of Michael Finley taking the beer out of Luka's hands, and similar kind of different, obviously different, but I think that these guys want to have a little autonomy, especially LeBron, who knows his body so well. And if LeBron has been operating at a 10 out of 10 for 22 years, like if that guy wants cookies, give him the cookies. It's not, it's not Big Baby Davis bringing the cookies on. Like
it's not Embiid.
Yeah, Joel Embiid who can't stop eating fast food, or Luka with the sweet tea, or all that stuff. Like, it's LeBron. You're really gonna mess with the man's chocolate chip cookie addiction?
I don't know. I feel like he looked at Miami and said, there's something a little bit off about this team. They lost the finals, right, coming off that loss to the Spurs that year. And he said, you know what? There's an opportunity in Cleveland. Not only could I have a better chance of winning a title, I get to correct the greatest wrong of my career, which was leaving to go to Miami. He never liked that black hat stuff. So I think LeBron's all about the rings. I don't buy this cookie stuff. I just don't believe it. I'm sorry. Maybe I listen. Dwayne knows the situation a lot more than me. I think if he was micromanaging and LeBron thought I could win 3 more rings here, he would have taken the micromanaging.
Pat Riley doesn't get enough blame for blowing one of the greatest opportunities in sports history. He had LeBron James in the absolute prime of his career in Miami, South Beach, and you could not convince him to stay beyond Dwayne Wade's prime. That is unforgivable to me.
Yeah, but I don't know.
If I'm a Heat fan, I would be beside myself.
They could have gotten not 5, not 6, not 7.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't think that team was winning more.
No,
they
but
would have had to reinvent themselves.
Yeah, but it's Miami. They reinvent themselves every day. That's part of the culture of Miami, is to reinvent yourself. You go there, you can be anybody you want, right?
Also, think about how many times the Lakers have had to reinvent themselves. Just because you have LeBron doesn't mean you stop tweaking the team.
Yeah, that shouldn't have been a 4-year. LeBron should have played 10 years there. Who leaves Miami? Nobody.
I think the micromanaging did have, and I think the cookies is one example, but I think Dwayne, we don't know what other areas it bled into. You're right. Wade's telling a funny story about the cookies and the good punchline and everything, and LeBron stops the card game because he's so ticked off they took the cookies away. But maybe it was more than just the cookies. It's also micromanaging how he plays and all of that.
I know. For most of his career, LeBron's been so smart about where he goes because he wants these good rosters around him that fit his skill set. I felt like that was a basketball decision more than a cookie decision.
Don't you think Riley, that's funny, don't you think Riley's going to go down, though, as one of the great GMs of all time?
Oh, sure.
Right. So why, as opposed to the other, think of all the names we've gone through with GMs with LeBron James. He wouldn't trust Pat Riley to continue to tweak the roster and put a great team around him. He trusts David Griffin more, or all these other dudes who we barely know.
Well, I think Riley also probably was like, I don't know if this core is winning either. Maybe he was souring on it too. I just felt like the energy around that Heat, and again, it was a long time ago now, it was 10 years. The energy around that Heat was dwindling.
For sure. They got smoked by the Spurs, and they got lucky to beat the Spurs the year before. So, yeah, they definitely were on the decline. It just, again, it feels like I think about all the athletes that played in Miami.
Why not stay there?
Yeah, it's how do you lose that? And if LeBron would have went and not won championships other places and had great seasons other places, that'd have been one thing. But that was the best version of LeBron James we saw, was the Miami Heat version. And you couldn't keep him around. That's a terrible, terrible mistake by Pat Riley.
Yeah, but LeBron is a wanderer. He left the Cavs because he saw a situation in the Lakers. That's part of his nature.
The other thing, you guys remember the story when Pat Riley goes to Vegas to meet LeBron and try to convince and try to talk about whether or not he's going to stay in Miami. And the story that came out of there was that LeBron was very rude to him, right? Kept him waiting outside. They were watching the World Cup or something, and LeBron didn't offer him anything to drink. There's a story out there that was a very tense meeting, and Riley felt disrespected at that meeting. Maybe now the cookies. It was like an eye for an eye.
Yeah, well,
take my cookies, I'm not going to show you any love when we're in Vegas.
That relationship really never got right when LeBron went to him and said, you need to coach team, and Riley said, get the hell out of here and don't ever come to my office again with this BS. When that happened year one, when LeBron wanted Spoelstra out of there, I don't think it ever really got fully right because Riles is as intense as it comes, and he runs the Heat organization like a military camp. That's what's been documented. So LeBron being the guy he is, who wants all the control, I think once that happened to start, this thing was never going to be long term. But I think Pat Riley, there's a lot of blame for that. Any other owner or any other front office guy that loses a generational talent, we'd say you blew it. And with him, for some reason, Riley doesn't get any of that smoke.
Well,
I don't get it.
Because he's won so much. But, like, look at what's going to happen now. Let's say the Warriors make a run to the finals, which we were talking about yesterday with Jimmy Butler. I mean, that's going to also reflect badly on Riles, no?
No.
He's the one who said, that, you shouldn't be talking about the team if you're not playing. Kind of.
Riley's a goat. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. I think also too. I think you underestimate LeBron likes to move around. So I think this is more a LeBron thing.
All over chocolate chip cookies. Man, life is weird. All right, coming up next, so much more to do, including the latest in the NFL.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Get back to the NFL stuff in just a moment. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We got college football that we've got to address, Pearl. And, we're all very curious here about what the future of the sport is going to look like. We know that after next season, it's going to be expanding, the college football playoff, 14 teams, 16, all these automatic qualifiers. But we'd like to play some sound for you from Nebraska head coach Matt Rhule, who was on Urban Meyer's podcast, The Triple Option. Sometimes I can't believe this stuff is coming out of my mouth.
Wait, there's an Urban Meyer podcast?
Yeah, there is.
That's amazing.
Why
He
not?
should be a guest on a podcast. He should be hosting a podcast. Anyway,
I think he does both. But yeah, no, he hosts a pod. And Matt Rhule is explaining to Urban Meyer why Big Ten teams, like one that he coaches, Nebraska, have no incentive to play tough non-conference games.
Why in the world would a Big Ten team who's already playing 9 conference games, why would you ever play one of those games? Like what? Like you look at a lot of teams like there's, and I love it's not anti-SEC, but like there's some SEC teams that last year only played 3 away games in another team's stadium. 3. We're in a league where some years you have 5 home Big Ten games. Some year you have 5 road. You have to go on the road 5 times in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and we have more sound for you, but let's just take that soundbite for a second, Pearl. And it's something that you've been saying and I've been saying, which is it feels like now the college football season basically comes down to who's on your schedule this year. And some years it's going to be really jacked up and difficult, and you're going to have all these night games and away games and really, really hard. And some years, I'm not going to say you're going to cruise by or skate by, but some years you're going to get an Indiana schedule like last year. Yep. And I know they played Ohio State, but beyond that, it was, it was some easy dubs for Indiana. And then they got to the college football playoff game and they got smoked. So it's like all about the schedule and not even really so much about the talent on your team. Like, that's not what we want in college football, is it?
No, it's not good. As you expand the playoffs, you would think that, and this is maybe not what you want, you would want to go to a more NFL-like alternating schedule to make it more even across the board. Like, remember,
and even the NFL's not perfect, but
it's not perfect,
yeah,
but it's closer because they have a system. Remember a few years ago, the 60-team college football system, basically take the Big 5 conferences, make it a 60-team conference, and then part of the reason that would be cool is because you'd have a uniform schedule and everybody would play each other, and you wouldn't have a third week of September when the only ranked matchup is like 22 versus 25. Now, Matt Rhule's exactly right. You're making coaches avoid any good early season games, and you're creating this imbalanced field. I said this earlier in the week.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of blowouts. If they expand to 14 or 16 and do all these automatic bids, you're going to have like 60 to 7 games in the first round of the playoffs. I think that they need a lot more evenness here because especially scheduling, and Matt Rhule is exactly right.
So more from Matt Rhule again on Urban Meyer's pod. He said that the College Football Committee, I mean, it's probably a good podcast. I don't know. He said they only care about what you do late in the year, and they don't even actually care about these early season wins. So again, why would you schedule anyone tough?
They proved to us this year when they did all the seeding and all that stuff that early season wins didn't mean a thing. That really it was at the end of the day what you looked like in the last month of the season.
And then he goes on to say, and to be honest, it's what your offense looks like in the last month of the season. And because this is such a beauty pageant, And it's about, and it could be heading more towards that way. I don't know. Depends on these automatic bids. But it is because it's a committee, they may get wowed by great offenses or whatever. And that's all that matters is the last month of the season. And this is, I think, the fear that a lot of people have with college football, which is you are taking the one sport where the regular season actually really mattered. Like, really mattered. Even in the NFL right now, the first month of the season is basically extended training camp. You took the only... look at the Rams. They started 1-4, and they won the division.
Yeah, I know, but I would go with that. Look at the Ravens lost an early game to the
Raiders.
The Raiders, and it screwed up everything.
Well, they lost a few more games after that, but this is the thing. This is the big fear for college football, or this is maybe the big opportunity that they blew, that you didn't realize how good you had it until it's gone, which is your regular season meant so much. And every move you've made over the last 5 years has devalued the regular season in such a big way.
Right, but the sport has grown exponentially. Last year was the best season they ever had. So playoff expansion has been not just a hit, it's been a grand slam home run. So
you're counting money as the thing.
No, buzz, anything, popularity of the sport.
Okay, but you keep getting these blowouts. Do you think that? Listen, I know we love sports. Yeah. We're not walking away from it, but you change your entire postseason, and if it is all these lopsided affairs, I don't know.
Well, I would say the 12-team playoff has made the sport 40% better. Yeah, I think fans will love it. I mean, there's no way. Yes, the fear is that you start growing and growing and growing. You become college basketball. I understand what you're saying, but just because like an Alabama-LSU game doesn't mean the title's on the line in October. Overall, would you argue the sport is as healthy as it's ever been?
Well, again, by money, money coming in, it's the healthiest. But here's the thing, though. Up until the college football playoff started, people didn't opt out of bowl games. And I'm not saying that the bowl system was perfect. I'm not. But up until that 4-team college football playoff, when you put a different trophy on the line, then all of a sudden people say, well, if I'm not part of the 4-team, then why should I ever go to the whatever bowl, right?
Right.
And I'm not saying I don't want to disrespect anybody. I'm not saying the Pinstripe Bowl or the ReliaQuest. I'm talking about Fiesta, Orange, Sugar, Rose. Like, we didn't have people opting out of those up until this 4-team playoff. Like, there was a postseason that was exciting and fun. And then it got a little too big and too many bowl games. But could we have, without the 4-team playoff, could the sport have gone in any other different direction that could have kept some of the integrity of the regular season still matters every single week?
Well, I mean, again, you're only at, 12 teams now, maybe 14 or 16. It still does matter. It's still really important, much more important than a college basketball where you have 68 teams. Mm-hmm. And even NFL, for example, has 14 teams out of 32. Mm-hmm. So
half the league.
45. If you have 12 teams out of 100 or whatever is in Division I, it's still very hard to get into that playoff. It's a much lower percentage. Yeah, and I don't miss who cares about the bowl games? I'm sorry, the Pinstripe Bowl hasn't been relevant in 25 years.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not those. I'm saying there were other bowl games that used to be exciting that weren't for a title.
Right.
That's the bad boy mower suck.
Yeah.
Yes,
no, I just think the playoffs are more exciting. Because
the Pop-Tarts Bowl is not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think right now in 2025, if you had a Sugar Bowl where neither team could get to the title, it wouldn't feel exciting. I think the playoffs are a much better system.
855-212-4227. So that's going to be the issue, Matt Rhule's issue. You actually got a little news about
Well,
Nebraska.
yeah, real quick, why is Matt Rhule commenting on this? He's never even sniffed a college football playoff. It sounded like in that quote, it's like, listen, I've been there. And I love Matt Rhule, but the closest he's ever come was 2019 when Baylor was 11-2. But he's never had to even think about the committee. I felt that he was sounded like, I've dealt with this committee before and all they care about is offense. He's been 5-7 in Nebraska. Nebraska has never even been in consideration for the committee.
Yeah, but he can still observe it, can he? He looks at what's going on across college football.
It just sounded like I've been there before kind of quote. It just was a funny quote to me. If you want to know about how the college football playoff system works, don't you ask the Georgia coach, not the Utah State coach?
Wow. Ouch.
I just think it's funny that Matt Rhule even has an opinion on college football playoff. I would have answered if I was mad. I'd be like, well, we aspire to be there someday. But the way he sounded, it almost sounded like he had sour grapes about the way they judge this. And like, I'm like, you haven't really been there yet.
So it's funny, right before he gives this answer, EJ knows what I'm talking about. So the full quote, so he goes, Urban, or maybe he called him Coach. Coach, I've been fired now. I've coached in 4 places, he goes, and I've been fired. So I don't really, I'm just going to let it fly. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to hold in anymore what I really think. And I disagree with that. I think that even if you haven't been to the college football playoff, you see the sport. He's coaching in the first or second best league in the sport. I think he absolutely can see the trends. You don't have to have been playing in the college football playoff to understand that they're only looking at the last month of the season and how your offense is playing.
Right, but usually people complain about the committee of somebody who got screwed over by the committee. That's usually, Florida State. If the Florida State coach said that, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I get where he's coming from. I just thought it's funny because Matt Rhule hasn't gotten there yet, although he will get there in the next few years, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah, tell us what this personal connection is.
So a friend of mine who is the director of pro personnel for the Patriots, Patrick Stewart, just left the Pats from Indianapolis and took the GM job at Nebraska. And I'm so psyched for Pat. He's a great dude, and he's a brilliant football mind, and he's going to kill it. He's known Rhule for a long time. They were at Temple together.
That's amazing. Are we all Nebraska fans now because of your friend?
We're also Oklahoma fans because I love Jim Nagy, former Senior Bowl director, who just took the Oklahoma GM job. Luckily they don't play each other anymore.
Yeah, conference realignment means the rivalry's dead, so you're good.
But there's still like a little bit of Nebraska-Oklahoma pride
a lot
going
of recruiting
on
battles,
there.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't think you could be a Sooner fan and a Cornhusker fan.
No, that doesn't sound right. But here's the thing. I think these college GM jobs are looking kind of good because in the NFL, you only get 32 of them. And by the way, you've got an owner who can just come in off the yacht on draft day and blow up all the months of work that you've done or something like that. Or maybe you got to take input from the owner's kid on a Madden rating or some BS.
This might be the new sweet sports
deal.
job, right? Like we talked about, like being the backup quarterback and other deals. Being an NBA coach or a GM for like a team that's rebuilding, infinity. This is another good one because what college GM has been fired yet?
I
can't think of anyone.
I don't even know if you would get that as I bet that could very quietly go away
right.
too.
It wouldn't even be a headline. No one would even know if you got fired.
Yeah, exactly. No, this could be it. Now, my question for Jim Nagy. So Jim, friend of the show, is as you said, the new GM of Oklahoma Sooners football, which is really cool. But so he's not going to be at the Senior Bowl anymore, or he can do both?
No, definitely not.
That's sad. He's awesome.
He's really good at that.
Well, I mean, there's sort of been it was Phil Savage before him, and it was somebody before Savage. I think Jim wants to give that up to somebody else to help build it. But the GM job, they'll get fired for sure. Just be like a coach.
But it's not going to be as embarrassing as like in the NFL, I think, where it's a little more high profile.
Well, listen, they all got fired in Carolina, and there was that was embarrassing, but it turned out that was more about Carolina than Matt Rhule and Pat Stewart. And I'm curious too, like for Oklahoma, if Venables gets fired, what does that mean for Jim? I don't know how that works.
I don't know. Is it like, the GM, do they get to stay and maybe help pick the next coach?
Exactly. That's why I'm like, this is an
Are you
awesome
sure,
job
though?
potentially.
Sweet.
I don't know. I'm asking questions.
Yeah. I think if Brent Venables gets fired next year, is Jim back on the market?
I don't know. I mean, Oklahoma beat Alabama. Maybe they're a rocket ship.
I mean, athletic directors get to stay when coaches get fired. Why wouldn't the GM in theory?
I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be more like the coach. The athletic director doesn't pick players.
No, but they are involved with the football operations and like how things work.
And they definitely pick the coach.
Yeah, and they definitely pick the coach. So there's that.
Yeah, ADs, you bring up a good point. Like they're Teflon. Like, nobody goes after them.
Talk about good jobs in sports.
That's a Mount Rushmore great job.
The only thing is if you have a scandal, though, then all of a sudden it's like, now it's a really bad job.
Like Miami, like one of the biggest things when they got Cristobal was they hired the Clemson athletic director, and it was seen as this massive coup. And I'm like, why? I guess Clemson's football has been good, but like, what'd that guy do? Like, I know Dabo.
I think Dabo did it.
He got good players. He got Taj Boyd and Deshaun Watson and DeAndre, Hopkins. Like, what did this guy do?
Oh, I don't know. Like, he turned Clemson into a national title winner.
Yeah, Dabo did.
Well, I know, but I credit Dabo for that, right?
I credit him too because they turned that. You've been to Clemson, right? It's like it's this little tiny thing in the middle of nowhere, and he built this gorgeous palace. So somebody besides Dabo did something smart there because they made that place really nice. They were never a powerhouse.
I know.
I could see, and their facilities are crazy. So I don't know.
I hope he's the godsend that turns around Miami football. It was just funny because that was the big thing. It was like, not only is Cristobal coming, we got this guy from Clemson who's the AD. I'm like, okay.
Did you guys see, by the way, speaking of now we're just doing some college football news here, of Matt Rhule talking to Urban Meyer on his podcast about no Big Ten team's ever going to schedule an interesting non-conference opponent ever again. So there you go. So Andrew Luck is the GM for Stanford football, and their athletic director just resigned. So I'm like, is Andrew Luck going to step into that role also? Anyway.
Oh, they have some problems. I know they have a lot of legal problems.
Oh, do they?
Stanford's a disaster behind the scenes.
Oh, I didn't know that. What's going on?
Stanford is it's such a long, complicated story that goes back to a frat party where somebody died from alcohol overdose. And
my goodness.
It's become like a gigantic, unless I miss it and it's settled, like the school and the students have been suing each other on and off for years. There's all sorts of problems at Stanford.
Oh, gosh, I had no idea. I didn't know I was walking into such
I think it was a soccer player
serious
was involved.
Story.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. Man, well.
But the other thing, too, if House versus NCAA, this new court settlement comes through, and what if the college teams have a salary cap like the NFL, then all of a sudden my friend Pat has a salary cap, and he's like a real GM. It's like an NFL GM version.
No, but think about it. That $20 million, which they're saying is going to be, that's not just for the football team. Does everyone know that? That's for the athletic department.
Well, right. How much of it goes to the football team?
That's going to be to the discretion, I think, of the collective, the athletic director, maybe the GM. So, like, I'm sure, listen, answer lots of it, right? Lots of it's probably going to go to the football program. But think about it. The football program also probably has a better shot to get NIL on top of that.
Well, that's what I was wondering. If they have, like, say they can slot $3 million for their quarterback under this $20 million, can they get another $8 million from a booster to get
I think local car dealership or whatever. I mean, but... So I think the $20 million is actually for the whole athletic department. So if you're somebody that has a great baseball program or also is known for, obviously basketball. I don't have to go to baseball. Basketball. Say your women's team's really good. Say you've got this all-time swim team. I don't know. Everyone needs a piece of the pie.
There's only two real generators, 2.5. There's football, basketball, and now women's basketball. Otherwise, and then a little women's volleyball and softball. But generally, it's all football is where the money is. That's what builds the fancy buildings.
No doubt. 855-212-4227. Are you encouraged by the future of college football? The regular season, guys, is just it's like dust. It's like go in between our fingertips.
I totally disagree. You think the college football regular season's already become irrelevant? Like you're already done with it? You're not even going to give this time to advance?
I don't love it. 855-212-4227. Let us know what you think. We've got a lot more to do, including updating you on a story we brought you a few days ago. We'll do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Giant feet, they're the talk of the town. When she walks the sidewalk cracks, she's bringing buildings down. She tried to buy some shoes, but they said no way. Now she's wearing boat sails just to get through the day. Maggie's giant feet, they're a real big deal. Stepping on poles, creating legs for real. Maggie's giant feet, they make a mighty thud. But Maggie just laughs, hey, it's to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach, she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach, she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles. Maggie's giant feet, they're a real big deal. Stepping on puddles, creating lakes for real. Maggie's giant feet, they make the mighty thud. But Maggie just laughs, hey, it's all in good fun. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. So here's to Maggie and her feet so grand. She's the funniest girl in all the land. With her giant feet, she's never beat. Maggie's big feet make life so sweet. Oh, Maggie's big feet make.
Believe Bilott's got something to say. Infinity's mice, he's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC, what a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free, he misses Ma. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out boo, boo. Bring it back, oh can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back.
45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Remember what got you here. Focus on the fundamentals that we've gone over time and time again. And most important, don't get caught up thinking about winning or losing this game. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners. Okay? All right.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. Let me hear it.
Wow, no school this small has ever been to the state final. We lost Gene Hackman, great actor, 95 years old. Was also a coach in The Replacements, by the way. Has a couple sports movies under his belt. One of the greatest American actors of all time. I don't think there's any doubt. I think I'm the only like massive Hoosiers guy here. Like me and my friends used to watch that before basketball games. Like it is to me the ultimate fire up basketball movie, and he was great in that.
So many, I mean, a multi-time Oscar winner, Gene Hackman. I had no idea he was 95. I didn't know that he was that old, but it's so sad because the circumstances now seem a little strange. And, you know, we're going to find about more and more about it. But Gene Hackman is 95, was found alongside his wife, Betsy Arakawa, who's a world-renowned pianist. And also, their dog was also dead. Now, this happened in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and the authorities there are saying no foul play. No foul play. That a man, his wife.
Who's 63, by the way. Not old.
She's young. And the dog. The dog is the thing that's throwing me off here. And so I was talking about this actually with Boomer Esiason before the show. He put out like a carbon monoxide type thing. Like, did something happen where they accidentally were poisoned because the dog dying along with two humans and no foul play, they're saying, is very odd.
It's got to be. I haven't heard of any other theory. I think everyone's running with that, too. Like, what other possibility is there?
The only thing I wasn't sure about, because that was my first thought, too, when I saw that the dog had died, too. Because first I saw him and his wife, and I thought, is this a weird, like, old people deciding maybe they wanted to go out together?
She's not that old, though.
No, I know. So I did. So that
she's
was,
young.
So I didn't, because the last time I saw him, it was a picture of him for the first time in a while that was public. And people were like, oh my God, he looks, at a gas station. Yeah. And he looked very old and
he's 95.
Very frail, but I think it caught people off guard. So I thought maybe his wife was a similar age, and maybe this was whatever they decided to do together.
Sure.
But then the dog makes it seem like it's something else. But I don't know, like, if it's carbon monoxide, does that, like, run out? Or wouldn't people who have gone in to found them eventually felt something weird too? Or, like, does it burn off the monoxide? Stop coming out of wherever it's coming out of?
I think first responders would probably be aware of that, because that does happen.
Well, I mean,
tragically,
isn't there a period of like exposure that becomes lethal? Like, I think when it comes to carbon monoxide, I mean, if you're in the room for 5 minutes and you see these, deceased people there, you probably start to quickly realize maybe it's carbon monoxide. Let's go get some equipment.
Open the windows, open the doors. Yeah, because you're right, Manny. Like, I remember there was a gas leak. An elderly woman, when I was living in an apartment with my husband, she couldn't smell the gas leak. And if she had just stayed in there, not only would the entire building had probably exploded, but she would have, because she was very elderly. I don't know how often she left the house. Was it once a day? Was it more like once every couple days? And that could have gotten really tragic. Maybe they just hadn't gone out in a while and got exposed to it for over a long period of time.
I think Michael Kay, I think, has a story where he went to sleep and just happened to open his window and survived a carbon monoxide leak in his apartment.
That is so scary.
Yeah.
We have alarms, but I actually don't know if they're updated. Do you guys have carbon monoxide alarms?
Yeah. And I walk around every once in a while. Definitely not as much as they recommend, and just hit all the all the test buttons on everything.
I should.
So this is it's he obviously lives an incredible life, but you never want it to be cut short off of something that's not of just natural causes. But if we're talking about Gene Hackman's filmography, which EJ played the famous speech from Hoosiers, if we're just going favorite Gene Hackman's, Royal Tenenbaums to me. I thought he was so good in that movie. And I love the movie The Firm. You guys big into The Firm?
Book?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, I didn't read the book.
No, that was me just jogging my memory. That's Tom Cruise.
No, Tom Cruise,
yeah.
Great in The Firm. And Gene Hackman is excellent in that movie. Now, these are not the movies he won the Oscars for. He won the Oscars for The French Connection, and he won the Oscar for Unforgiven. I get it that those, I'm sure those
We're
movies.
definitely the only show in America is like Gene Hackman was awesome in The Firm. Literally, that is the only time that has been uttered in America.
Well, don't
today.
you wonder sometimes when these guys get super famous, like you can celebrate the life of Gene Hackman. He's been in so many movies. Don't you wonder when people come up to them on the street and you could say 50 films, what's the thing people say the most? Because EJ, you said
he's Lex Luthor.
He's Lex
Superman.
Luthor, right?
That I could get. The Firm? Come on.
It's a great movie.
Firm doesn't count. I didn't even know he was in it, let alone to say it's one of his best ones.
I have an unbelievably different taste in movies than you, Maggie Gray. I just keep getting back to this. It is stunning. Like, honestly, you're like, oh, man, you were awesome in Welcome to Mooseport. Like, what about The French Connection?
My wife can do this, too, where she knows people from the wrong movie. Like Ray Liotta, to her, is from Karina.
What?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, but the Royal Tenenbaums.
That's a good one. I'll accept that one.
That was on top of it. He was great at that. I mean, for me, I'm afraid to ask this. How many people in this room have not seen Hoosiers?
Oh, thank God Manny said.
Oh, Manny has. There's no way Manny
EJ, I
saw
thought you
Hoosiers.
might not have seen Hoosiers.
No, I've
It's
seen
kind
it.
of
I've
old.
talked about Hoosiers on the show.
EJ
I'm not
doesn't
gonna-
like it.
I'm not going to say anything because Gene's dead.
Yeah.
but
You didn't like Hoosiers? It's kind of. Oh
it's
my god.
kind of boring. But again, R.I.P. Gene. He's a legend.
Hey, did you know there's a French Connection too?
Yeah.
I didn't see the first French Connection. He was in Young Frankenstein. That was like more of a cameo. Anyway, sad news. 95 years old. I mean, celebrating a life, and obviously his wife also being found deceased, and she was a world-renowned pianist. And then the dog. I mean, Gene's 95 was 95, and we can definitely celebrate his life. But this does also feel like a tragedy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, we'll get
Definitely.
more details on that. That is really sad. I think I know why you don't like Hoosiers, by the way, EJ.
Why is that?
Yeah,
Because no one flies or has laser eyes, or
probably also too. Like Gene
Where is
Hackman's
the
all
radioactive
about.
spider?
none of them
Where's
are
the
red and
vibranium?
muscles.
No, it's a sports reason. It's a basketball reason because Gene Hackman, the coach, was all about ball movement, and you like Carmelo, take 16 out of 24 seconds of the shot.
That's definitely why.
It's not enough volume.
You're not like a
Shooting
ball
at
movement guy.
It was
You're
a
more
scheme
like
issue.
like
Carmelo Anthony, the Atlanta Hawk.
Yeah, dump it into low post to Jalen Brunson, just dribble, shoot. That's your style.
Be your team yesterday.
Hoosiers was not for you.
Well, rest in peace to Gene Hackman, his wife, and the dog. Can't get past that. Bogues, what's going on today?
So the chain gang isn't going away, but is apparently getting some help. The NFL will use a virtual spotting system next season for first downs. Officials will still spot the ball, but then the system will immediately tell them if it is a first down. Apparently the league was using this in the background this past season. The NFL also confirming it is debating changing the regular season overtime setup, because the team that wins the coin toss is still getting too big of an advantage. They could use the postseason structure where each team gets the ball no matter what, or they could extend OT from 10 to 15 minutes, or they could do something completely else. As we've been discussing all morning, Penn State stud Abdul Carter has a stress reaction in his right foot. Agent Drew Rosenhaus says they have two options: rehab and try to show scouts the foot is fine at Penn State's pro day next month, or have preemptive surgery now and be off the field for 2 months. The last time we saw the Thunder, they were blowing that 24-point fourth quarter lead on the T-Wolves. Last night in Brooklyn, they were down 18 in the first half to the lowly Nets.
Back on the Nets. Wallace again picks the pocket at midcourt of Rothward and takes it down the lane and thunders down a big two-hand tomahawk dunk. Oh, Kaysen, don't be so mean. Thunder 109, the Nets 103. Timeout, Brooklyn.
That's Matt Pinto on Thunder Radio. OKC on an 18-0 fourth quarter run to win 129-121. Chet Holmgren, 22 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks. The Pistons dumped the Celtics 117-97 for an 8-game win streak. The Rockets down the Spurs 118-106. And the Knicks beat the Sixers 110-105 after leading by 14 in the third, then trailing by 4 in the fourth. The Philly skid is now 9 games.
We are the New York Knicks.
But on the bright side, Paul George finally getting serious about this season.
About time.
Gonna put a pause on the podcast. The Paul George podcast? Paul P?
No.
Podcast P, Maggie. How do you not remember the name?
I know. My bad. I was too busy listening to the Urban Meyer podcast, apparently. And with the Paul George podcast on the back burner.
The visual of the gears turning right there as you try to remember Paul George's podcast's name. Good Lord.
And inside my brain was like, doo, 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 doo. Anyway, so Pearl, finally, they're going to start getting serious now, these 76ers. No podcast, no outside distractions.
I like it.
Season starts today.
Play in or bust.
I'm so glad that they're terrible right now. This is so much better than what I'd much rather this team than the team that you knew was going to lose in 6 games in the first round. Right? This is a better situation, being awful.
Well, kinda, but the Embiid situation makes it a little more concerning. I think.
It's finally over.
Yeah, good luck getting rid of him.
Well, yeah. How are you gonna get rid of him? His contract is an albatross.
How many more years does he have?
100.
He just signed.
No, it's not that long.
4 more years. He just signed an extension.
Right, but I think
This is Daryl Morey we're talking about. If you're even half a star, you're getting $1 billion.
Juan Soto's contract is going to expire before Joel Embiid's.
Jesus Mate will be in the
Yeah, he'll be a
Jesus
free
me.
agent in 2030.
I thought he just signed
goodness.
I thought he just signed a 3-year deal. Was
Right,
that a 3-year
but he had
extension?
2 years already on his deal.
Oh, it was 3 years on top of the two.
And he's getting every penny.
Yeah.
$69 million player option in 2028, 2029. I don't think he's turning that one down.
How many more Super Bowls can the Eagles win to take Pearl off the Sixers beat?
They might win 2 more Super Bowls before his contract is up.
If they don't ban the tush push, they would be the next dynasty.
Oh, you'd be a little angry if the Eagles weren't winning and the Sixers were doing this.
Dude, I've never thought Embiid was serious. I thought signing Paul George was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard of.
You're
I
right
like
about that.
Maxey. I do like Tyrese Maxey.
Well,
but
he's ironically the only one you could probably get some value for, so you should probably trade him away ASAP.
Ooh.
or
And they
not.
gave him a lot of money, too.
Yeah.
Well, guys, but the podcast is...
What I found interesting was when
He's on
Maggie
hold.
mentioned this yesterday, Maggie said that she'd found this commendable, and Perloff said, this is one of the most embarrassing things I've ever heard.
I mean, they're 20 and 40. Like, now you're doing it?
Well, I said I think he's trying to make up for the fact that his wife posted all these racy pics of them during the All-Star break. His team is cratering, and he's out there like, look at, I just did it. I was like, he's got to be
What did I miss?
Yeah.
Stand by. Nora, too.
Kind of.
Talk to you in 5 minutes. I got to check it out. So
Talk amongst yourselves.
By the way, I don't
Her
want.
name's Daniela something.
I don't want to see Paul George, but I'm curious about.
Well, to be fair to Paul, she
What's her
posted the
podcast
pic.
called?
That one's only on OnlyFans.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
more of
my.
a visual gag. But yeah, no, she put all that stuff on Instagram, and I thought maybe he got a little side embarrassment from that.
No, yeah, it looked, I mean.
He looked so you're talking about
I mean,
unserious.
yeah, it looked like they were taking I mean, it was a vacation, but it seemed like, they hit Cancun a little early.
Yeah.
Like, there's still a season
Drinks
left.
in hand, just like,
I
guys,
mean-
it's the All-Star break. Like, you still got to play.
Yeah, and they both looked amazing. I mean, Paul George is ripped, and he's a good-looking
Yeah.
guy, and then his wife is a very beautiful woman. So they looked like they were having way too much fun, considering the torture that the Sixers season has been. I think that was the issue.
It basically looked like a picture that was like, who cares? I'm rich.
Exactly.
Like, everything's going to be all right. I'm rich. It kind of felt like that kind of post.
Keep doing you. Keep doing you, Paul.
Oh, this is the first time you're seeing these photos?
Yeah, and I found one that should not be on the internet, which is saying a lot.
Wait, I didn't find
Can you
that
DM
one.
that to me?
It's a race now.
Can you DM it to me, please?
I told you. I said.
Perloff's unimpressed.
There's a lot of gold necklaces
she's
and
wearing a
watches in
bikini.
these pictures, too.
Big fan.
I mean, the thing is, they're 20 and 38 right now. If they play the lottery, there's a lot of buzz in Philly. There is some excitement that Cooper DeJean will be the second most popular Cooper coming up pretty soon.
The second most exciting white, you're saying?
Yeah, basically. there's a lot of. You know
It's
how
not Reed Blankenship.
Philly's a town that has a Rocky statue and no Joe Frazier statue. The thought of having a white NBA star is getting a lot of people excited.
Move over the process. Here come the exciting whites of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, like there's Cooper flag chatter for sure.
I mean, you guys
I get
can't
it.
get rewarded for that. You guys, I think that the NBA lottery is 100% rigged. How could you can't reward the 76ers? It's been a mess over there.
What are you talking about? How do you think this system works? Do you think you get rewarded for being good in the NBA? How do you think your Cavs got your guy LeBron because they were awesome for so many years?
No, I think they like the hometown kid resurrecting a wayward program.
But the difference between us is I'm super into Dylan Harper too as a Sixer. That would be sick. The bad Sixers.
That
are great.
backcourt would be crazy. Harper and Maxey.
Yeah. No, this is all good. This is
Yeah.
all, yeah.
I don't trust NBA. I don't trust guys who go to college and can't make the NCAA tournament. Like I saw this with Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz, and these guys who got drafted super high, and they were in college and couldn't make the field of 68.
I don't know. Anthony Edwards is pretty good.
He went to Georgia though.
Yeah, but
what's Rutgers?
They got two guys who are going to get drafted in the top 5.
Rutgers,
It's not
Duke,
just
North
one; they've
Carolina.
got 2.
I know,
And
and
Anthony
then-
Edwards, I think he's the exception.
I don't know, but like, how about all the guys who went to Kentucky and lost in the first round? And it's just awesome.
At least
in
they
the NBA.
made the freaking tournament.
Yeah, he said 4 other NBA players are out there. I don't know. It doesn't seem like college success is a real.
But Dylan
indicator
Harper is
right now.
Ace Bailey. They got 2 out of 5 guys who are going to
Yeah.
take top 5 in the NBA, and these they can't make a field of 68.
Maggie, they got to play 5 guys on the court. There's only so much they could do.
Harper's had
know.
some health issues too.
I find this crazy. They almost made the tournament when there was only one Harper there a couple years ago,
I mean, who's actually
They
won?
did make the tournament with Harper.
and it was the
his brother.
COVID year, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
What who has actually been good in the NCAA tournament and been good in the pros? I'd rather take the guy who's
Melo. Carmelo Anthony is the poster child of
Like
it.
35
How
years
about
ago now.
Anthony Davis? Carl Anthony Towns? I mean, I could keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. How about what's his face from Miami? Went to UCLA.
Oh yeah, Jaime Jaquez.
Jaime
Yeah,
Jaquez
he had
was
a
fantastic
good
in the
run.
tournament. How about
All right, but I mean, and he's a good NBA player, but he's Jaime
What about
Jaquez.
Jaime Jaquez?
Can I interest you in a little Wally Zerbiak for exciting whites?
You can't.
I'm looking
How about
at.
Steph Curry? Anybody? Steph Curry got Davidson through multiple rounds of the NCAA tournament. Didn't anyone say, well, it was only Steph Curry?
I'm looking at the leading scorers in the NBA. Shea Gilgeous, tournament bust. Giannis, no tournament. Jokic, no tournament. Anthony Edwards didn't make the tournament. Maxey, tournament
I wonder
bust.
why
That team
Giannis
did
and
nothing.
Jokic didn't go into the tournament.
What did KD's Texas Longhorns do in the tournament? I don't even remember.
I believe they were first round exit. I believe.
Yeah, Tatum was disappointment. Booker disappointment. Brunson was
Booker.
good.
They went to the Final Four.
Yeah.
Oh, that team.
Yes. They had 6 guys drafted.
Yeah, that
off
team
of it.
was ridiculous. They lost to Wisconsin.
Oof. Generally, though, Cade Cunningham, he didn't do anything.
Cade was terrible. in the
I'm talking
tournament.
about people who don't make
Don't
the
make it.
tournament. Okay.
Did Cade make the tournament?
Yes.
Yeah, he did. Right. I picked that team, and they got killed.
Yeah, that team wasn't that great. I don't know. I mean, I get it. I just feel like there's holes in this. Damian Lillard didn't make the tournament.
John Morant.
He was great in the tournament.
And didn't have this whole cast of characters. And we're talking about top picks here. I'm not talking about second round or.
Right, but Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper would be great in the tournament if the rest of Rutgers got them there.
Yeah, there's that aspect of it too. Is like if they just went to a different school, maybe they are in the tournament. Like they kind of took a risk going to Rutgers.
Yeah,
like they almost
Fair.
deserve credit for that.
Fair. No, they could have gone somewhere else. But I just told you, John Morant and Steph Curry took Davidson and what was it, Murray State?
Right, but Steph Curry won the SoCon with Davidson and a guy I went to high school with. If he was in the Big Ten, they would have finished last. Like they would have been worse than this Rutgers team. Like he got in out of the SoCon, then went nuts, but they survived the SoCon because they were in the SoCon.
Okay, but here's my questions. Like, it's not like the Big Ten this year. You can't beat Michigan. I just watched Michigan State beat Maryland on a buzzer beater. The final score was 58-56. Auburn's not in this league. You know, the SEC is the really deep teams in the better conference. The Big Ten, this is winnable. This is at least make the tournamentable.
Yeah, I mean,
it's tough. I don't know about
So
that.
the Big Ten is tough, but you have two top 5 picks on your team.
But we know, Maggie, though, right now college basketball is so old now. Like these teams are putting out 24-year-olds and 23-year-olds, and it's if you only have 2 good 18-year-olds, it's hard to win.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just been what college basketball has been recently.
Like I actually saw a tweet this morning about this, that of the top 10 teams, only Duke has multiple freshmen playing starters minutes. Everybody else has 0 or 1.
That's why John Schneider is having, I think, a historic season. Like I don't know, people aren't talking about it.
Well, because Flagg has been on. He's leading in
Yeah.
points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Like he's
doing it with
everything, and
all
he just
freshmen.
turned 18.
Yeah,
they're definitely disappointing in the tournament, though. I guarantee that team is going to come up short.
Duke?
Yeah, because they always have. They've been like the last several years. They've had these great players, and they've come
Literally
up
went
short.
to the Sweet 16
Do they
last
get
year.
to the? Do they get
Sweet
to the?
16, yeah, I know. That was kind of disappointing. Well, last year,
Really, it was 2
But
years
like
after
Zion
Coach
did-
K retired.
like that, they had Cam Reddish, Zion, and R.J. Barrett.
They beat one of the number 1 seeds in Houston.
So you don't think they make the Final Four?
I got to see their draw, but I have a feeling this team is going to be a letdown. Yeah.
Okay.
You think Cooper Flagg's going to be a letdown in the
Yeah,
tournament?
because they're young. You know, I definitely like. I like the old teams.
A real quick update from me through Manny from Ian Rappaport. He's now saying, pending Jordan Schultz approval, that Abdul Carter is not going to have surgery for now. He will plan on working out for scouts at Penn State's Pro Day, and they assume he's going to be okay. Limited pain to no pain being mentioned with the issue. This is why I guess it kind of came out of nowhere. Maybe he didn't even know he had a problem, which means it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, if he could run a 40 in March, then it can't be that bad. If he runs a 4.40, then I don't care what his foot issue is. Like, if you could do that, then the foot can't be that bad.
I think you can muster up a lot when the adrenaline and the millions and millions of dollars that are waiting here at the end to get through this draft process, and then you actually have to play football. If the draft was just the end of the line, then fine. But now you got to have your career that you're hoping is fantastic. 855-212-4227. Bogusch, thanks for that. Okay, lots more to do, including the biggest, juiciest gossip from the Combine. Got it for you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff got into a conversation about college hoops, and EJ said he thinks this is the most impressive coaching job you've ever seen with John
in a
Shire?
long time, in several years.
Really?
Yeah, it's just the idea that you're a coach taking on a bunch of freshmen, and they've dominated college basketball. Not like, they're winning these games close, they're blowing everybody out. Like,
yeah, but because they're not in the SEC. But
then they beat Auburn.
Yeah.
Like they beat the one team that everyone thinks is that team, and they took care of business against them too.
I think it's also the 2 years after taking over for Coach K. Made the tournament both years, made a little bit more of a run last year and getting to the Sweet 16. And we're seeing now, Hubert Davis for North Carolina, for example, had success right away after taking over for Roy Williams, but now it's been a little bit more of a challenge, and they're a bubble team.
Yeah, in some ways he's doing the impossible twice because he's winning with freshmen when no one else can, and he's replacing a legend, which everyone says is very difficult to do.
I don't think that's the mainstream narrative at all because he has the best player in the country. So, I think everyone says, he's got Cooper Flagg. I'm not saying you're wrong, EJ. I'm just saying, nobody's talking about John Shire because they have the generational player.
Let's go to our pal Big Dave is in Kentucky, wants to weigh in on the state of Duke hoops. What's up, Big Dave?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're great. How you been?
I'm doing well. Bummed up about the news of the great Gene Hackman. That's
I know.
horrible.
We played a little from his famous speech from Hoosiers, but going through some of the movies that we even forgot that were so good. What was I just saying? La Cage Fall, Birdcage. Thank you. Behind Enemy Lines, Crimson Tide. I mean, it just goes on and on.
Crimson Tide is one of my all-time favorites. But I love everything that he did. He was such a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
On to the discussion of college basketball. Please, EJ, keep beating on that Duke drum. Beat louder and louder and louder because my main man, Andrew McLovin Perloff Jr. III, hit the nail on the head. They have played nobody. They have played nobody. We beat them back in November. Kansas beat them. Clemson, who we thought was a bad loss for us at the time, actually beat Duke. So by all means, keep propping up that paper tiger because the softest Sharman schedule that they have played since January will come back to bite them in the rear come tournament time. I'm a firm believer. And let me tell y'all real quick, really cool stat. To tell you how upside down, obviously, that college sports is right now. 5 of the top 10 preseason teams in college basketball are not even in the top 25 right now. 3 of the top 6 are not in the top 25 right now. Kansas, UConn, Gonzaga, Baylor, and UNC were all in the top 10 in the preseason. None of them right now are projected. Or none of them are in the top 25 right now. It's just crazy.
Hey, wait, Big Dave, can I tell you something? I was talking to college basketball analyst the other day, John Fanta, and I asked him what was a realistic expectation for Kentucky, and he said Sweet 16. What do you think?
Probably. We've been banged up all year. We just got Lamont Butler and Jackson Robinson back last night. And did y'all happen to see the end of that game? My main man, Oway Otega.
Yep.
He
saved your behind.
Huh?
Ortega always saved your behind, is what I said.
Oh, yeah, 28 points, 21 in the second half, I think it was. But he was
playing against his former school.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't know. I'm not going to argue that's if we get back. When we've been healthy, we're still not healthy because Kirk Reese is not coming back. He was our backup point guard. He was kind of a spark plug. Sweet 16, I'm not going to. Who knows? I'm saying. We've been inconsistent, but we've not had a full team on the floor. And Jackson Robinson played well last night. Hit 3 threes, but he ended up icing his wrist down again on his shooting hand. So I don't know. We'll see, but it'll be an interesting tournament for sure.
Big Dave, thank you so much. We're inching closer and closer. I think if Mark Pope, first year at Kentucky, we're talking about following legends. I know that, Big Blue Nation had kind of tired of Calipari, but he is a legend. He was there for 17 years, right? So getting to the Sweet 16 after you watch Calipari lose to Oakland, which we found out was in Michigan, I think that you'd be thrilled.
Kentucky Calipari tank Arkansas too.
Yeah, Kentucky's 17 in the country. I don't know. It's not an unrealistic expectation. It's kind of, but it is kind of funny that, like, I think you're right, but Kentucky Sweet 16, an accomplishment? It's kind of sad.
Well, I mean, it's, again, the first year of a new coach. So, and as Dave said, they haven't been healthy.
Feels like everyone does like that guy, though. Feels like he's had a good first year. Mark Pope.
Yeah. No, I think it was a good hire. Absolutely. Yeah. And the Arkansas not making the tournament is obviously, a little schadenfreude, of course. Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez. Thank you to Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos and the Coffee Drinkers, Dr. Rock Positano, and his assistant Kendall, who showed us her foot on our live stream.
I got 8 hours of combine drills ahead of me today. That is all I'm doing.
Sounds like a nice little Thursday. See you tomorrow, everyone.
Dr. Rock Positano after it.
Yeah, he'll need him.
True.
You're in a 5-minute break.